you can get all of that stuff on the Wii U.
Yeah, I know I have it on the Wii U, but
exactly, Smash Ultimate is only this one.
But you know, I'll get Mario Kart 9 or 10 or whatever they want to call it. When
Double Dash Part 2, come on.
Well, they actually have the successor to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe already.
People in the chat are saying there's no sound, Jesse.
Yeah, I was being an idiot. I muted it while it was on the screen for the Patreons, and then when we switched over and started talking about being excited for HMK and stuff, I had it on mute. So they kind of missed that, but whatever. Yeah, so you guys ready?
Yeah!
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hylian Gamescast, episode 140. We had I had a late start with notifying everyone, so for the 30 people that are here, thank you so much. Hopefully some more people come in. Yes, I had the thing on mute. But in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about some of the OLED and its 4K output rumors and verifications, I guess is the right word. And we're going to be talking about a little bit of Breath of the Wild 2, some HD Zelda remake rumors, Kingdom Hearts, and all the Smash Bros stuff, and the upcoming Animal Crossing Direct. And then we can get into some of everyone's questions that they want us to answer. And if we have time, we'll do a episode round of Kahoot for everyone to join and play along with us on the Triforce trivia. I still have all the questions and everything from like 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were going to have it.
I see how it is. Just been holding on to those questions.
Yeah, there's a few questions from some friends at some websites that will be interesting for everyone to answer. I love how it's like everyone's been so, I don't want to say excited, but so positive about it, where like friends and people who work at like IGN or a Nintendo enthusiast or places like that, just like, hey, do you have a question? Yeah, here's one. See if anyone gets stumped on this one. And I'm like, all right. But then the hard part's like, they'll give the question but not the answer to me. So then I'll have to like, I'll have to think of an acceptable answer and then think of 3 answers that also sort of seem right.
Yeah.
Like our friend N64 Josh gave a question that was really not necessarily complicated, but not something that you could fit into like a one thing answer, because it was the one about the hook shot and the Gerudo Fortress thing to get the ice arrow.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So our first piece of news, the Nintendo Switch 4K rumors, but it also ties into the Switch OLED, which I'm sure everyone knows. There's some websites that have been posting about 11 or more different developers have came out and said that they were given 4K Switch development kits. I keep getting brain fog and forgetting everything. So then Nintendo came out and said, no, that's not true. And then the website updated it. And instead of saying that Nintendo denies or what, because they deny everything and then everything ends up happening anyways, they ended up saying something along the lines, they changed the headline to 11 different Nintendo Switch developers are developing 4K games for a console that doesn't exist. So like they're sticking with the fact that they said they're making these games, they are making them, but Nintendo says the console doesn't exist. So we're just going to put that. Because the same one, because everyone started posting a meme about, we always use the 3DS and other consoles for an example, but someone posted a tweet about the original DS when Nintendo said the same thing, like, no, we're not working on any second versions of the Nintendo DS. And literally the next day they announced the DSX or the DSi or whatever it was. And it's like, like it was like less than 12 hours later you ended up confirming that you were. But anyways, it makes sense because, as I mentioned in the one video, a lot of the developers that were making early games for the Nintendo Switch said that they ended up getting their dev kits in like a 6-month window to the time that I think it was Miyamoto or someone at Nintendo came out and officially announced the Nintendo NX, as it was first called. Which that could have been because they were afraid that developers would do this and come out and leak some of the information about it. Or maybe because everything was so Wii U focused at the time, they thought their stock was getting low, so they wanted to announce something big to bring it back up and get people excited. Which, either way, it worked, I guess. Because the, what was it? The PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One X were also leaked early, and those companies had to come out saying, no, we're not planning on announcing anything at E3, and then both companies came out and announced something at E3. So for the people that are saying they're tired of Nintendo lying to fans and stuff, they're not just all the other gaming companies, but literally every company does this. But to prove, I guess, or at least strengthen the rumor a little bit, there was also the rumor about the Switch OLED originally was meant to be the 4K Nintendo Switch console, which was, it was leaked around the same time that the Switch Mini, as it was first known, was leaked, because there was the big report saying Nintendo was going to be announcing 2 different versions. And then they came out shortly after and announced the Switch Lite, which would have been the Switch Mini, but the OLED was just the same Switch with a bigger screen. But to strengthen those rumors, a few YouTube channels, including Nintendo Prime, have done teardowns and looked at the specs of the Switch OLED, and the Switch dock, the new version of the Switch dock, doesn't just have the Ethernet cable, but it is actually capable of outputting to 4K, which makes some people think that it was originally intended to be that 4K Switch console that the rumors suggested, but because of the chip shortages and everything, they ended up holding back for maybe next year or the year after until prices come down. That way they can actually make whatever the Switch Pro is going to be, because right now the Switch itself can only output in 1080p, but for some reason the dock allows for 4K. So yeah, really weird. What do you guys think about all this? I think I covered everything.
I think we have a super chat from Taker610, who donated $2 and said, Nintendo has no future plans to do anything.
That's true.
And that pretty much sums it up. I mean, that's the thing, is Nintendo will always say, thank you for the super chat, by the way, that's not what they'll say, but they'll always say that they have no plans to announce this, they have no plans for whatever, but they're always thinking ahead. They're always working on the next thing, right? So, but I know like chip shortages have impacted a lot of companies the last couple of years as well. So I can totally see their plans having been thrown. It is interesting seeing how they're like to see them directly reply to a rumor like this, because it's not often that they do in such a public way, aside from like one person, you know, maybe in an interview.
Yeah, if they're
but like they posted it like a direct response, we know about this rumor or whatever, like right on Twitter. And that's really interesting to see and really uncommon to see from Nintendo like that. So for them to just come out on Twitter and say, there's this rumor, it's false, we're not doing this, you know? But it unfortunately just makes me believe the rumor more when they acknowledge it. So yeah, that's my thoughts there.
Geek?
Me? No, I don't really have many thoughts. I've seen the trailers like for it. I've read the stuff. All I can think is it costs enough to get a Switch as it is. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that because it was donations that paid for my Switch, frankly. Y'all are amazing. Thank you. I just have no interest in getting it. I've never been a big fan of like the whole I need such and such resolution. I'm like, I just want to have fun. It never mattered to me.
A $5 super chat from Vernon Hardapple says, "Thanks, the Geek Apprentice. Love to all of you guys. Where's 𝗙𝗵𝗲? For the podcast, Daniel allowed me to stop working and he let me out of the basement for a couple of hours, but he still needed some sort of torture work going on down there, so he's having 𝗙𝗵𝗲 fix all of the broken stuff in the basement."
That's, someone actually told me they until very recently believed that you lived in my basement. Like,
oh my god.
I mean, in an apartment sort of way, I could see that.
Maybe like a basement suite or something.
Yeah.
Like that's your rent. Yeah.
But also, how many times has Jesse said Canada's not real?
That's also
That's
true.
because he won't let me outside to see it. All I know is these white walls.
Oh no. Anyways, she's cat sitting, but there's another super chat from Brent Jones.
Oh.
Jesse's hat.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Enough said.
Thank you.
That's
I think
it's a good hat.
that's almost as much as I originally paid for the hat, I believe. I wanted to support people that were like making their own stuff, so I looked for nice hats on Etsy, and whenever I asked for the hat, it turned out that her daughter was a fan of the channel, so she was like, "Oh my god, my daughter watches your channel, this is gonna make me the cool mom." And I'm like, that's awesome, but probably not. Like, I don't know, I don't think watching us could make anyone. Yeah, I mean, she probably is, yeah, definitely. But I'm saying watching our channel is like would make most people less cool.
You say to our viewers who are currently
yeah, I see what you're saying, but yes. Okay, I don't envision my channel as cool. Like, that's not one of the ways I would describe it. But for someone to watch it, that does make them cool, because obviously they're helping us.
I think it's a cool place to hang out, because this isn't the kind of channel where we're just like yell about everything and my god, all the news, everything's mind blowing. We're just I think a little more level-headed than that, and I that's what I appreciate about it. So I think it is the cool place.
Okay. I'll just say maybe my opinion is a little skewed, because again, Daniel just keeps me locked in his basement, so I haven't been able to compare it to other stuff that would be cool. So I'm just like, yeah. Anyways, second piece of news.
Calmness is what got me to do a voiceover, and then thus led to all of this.
Red
I'm
Legion
okay with the
says,
chill.
"Ouch, Jesse, I pop in and out every once in a while. I guess I'll leave so I can be cool." Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so second piece of news is very similar to a rumor a long time ago. I think it was about 2 years ago. Someone said that Breath of the Wild 2 would be delayed because, or if it was to be delayed, then Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD are already finished, so they can release those to hold fans over, which is what they did with Twilight Princess HD and the original Breath of the Wild. But the new version comes from a couple of different people, and it's basically the same thing, that Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD could be released when Nintendo announces that Breath of the Wild will be coming later than expected, or Breath of the Wild 2. But on top of that, there was some details that released about them. One was for Wind Waker HD, that the Miiverse feature was going to stay there, but or not necessarily Miiverse, but the online feature was going to stay there, where instead of putting messages on bottles to random people in Miiverse, it would send them to you would be able to send them to anyone who has Nintendo Online, or you could have it set to where it only goes to specific people on your friends list, or one specific person on your friends list. So 3 different options there, and I guess it wouldn't take much to change that from Miiverse to Nintendo Online, so I guess I could see that happening. Plus, there's always the Nintendo talking about how they want to push their online support. So I guess that could help. And the other thing was similar to Twilight Princess, it would be getting amiibo support with a bonus dungeon. And then in Twilight Princess HD's case, there was going to be the bonus dungeon in it would be switched to just coming with the game. So you don't need the Wolf Link amiibo. You can just talk to Midna and she'll warp you there. And the stamps were going to be removed, but similar to Wind Waker, you would be able to put messages somehow, like the message feature would be added to Twilight Princess as well. And if you still had the Wolf Link amiibo, it would still do the same and take you to the bonus dungeon and carry you over to Breath of the Wild, but it isn't needed. It's just there for the people who already have it. And I think that's it with them. Yeah. So, Daniel, hi. Hand up.
We got another super chat, actually, from Brent again. Thank you so much, Brent, for both super chats. He says, this channel is awesome, and so is the hat. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, Brent. And if you have a question, we'll put it right at the top of the Zelda mailbag here. So fire it away if you've got one. But thank you so much. That's all I was going to say. But actually, as far as Twilight Princess goes, I'm going to be a little choked if they do re-release it. Just because I've just started into the game again for video creation purposes. So, but if they do it, I would love to get like the proper like 60 frames per second treatment that they gave Skyward Sword. I think Skyward Sword looks and feels so buttery smooth on Switch, and Twilight Princess could too.
Yeah,
that would be nice. So, yeah. But anyways,
they could go the complete opposite way and just add the motion controls from Skyward Sword to Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
Oh no!
No.
Even though logically it doesn't make sense.
It does not. Skyward Sword is built around the idea of like directional inputs.
That's different.
Wind Waker and Twilight Princess not so much, but
Twilight Princess tried to have motion control. But
well, it works really well in like for aiming and stuff in both games on you.
But like just waggling your Wiimote to do a jump attack or something.
Yeah. The waggle is no good. Yeah. So
that's what happens when you take a game that doesn't have motion control and then try to retroactively get motion controls.
Yeah. But the aiming is spot on, and not that much work would have to be done, honestly, to bring those games over. Like you've got, it would basically be the marriage of the two versions, like the original and HD versions, because you'd have to have the sort of single screen stuff, the original versions, all the pause menus and stuff, but then a lot of the HD remakes updated things like the controls, adding gyro and stuff like that, and trimming the fat of certain tedious sections of the game, like the Tears of Light stuff in Twilight Princess, right? So, yeah, that all that good stuff was that work's already done. You just need to bring it over to Switch, basically. All the hard work is finished, though. Though I wouldn't mind if they still put a little more work into what I was noticing. Wind Waker doesn't need it as much, but with Twilight Princess visuals, all of the textures in the HD version were or at least most of them were redrawn, and they look really nice. But there's still some pretty jagged polygon edges. Like Link's arms are like, when you see him like reach his arm out, his arm is like octagonal. In Twilight Princess, it's like his arm is like octagonal, and like the corners are very noticeable. And it's just because of the GameCube era, but it's not so noticeable in Wind Waker, which is weird. Like things are a little more rounded out looking in Wind Waker than in Twilight Princess. So I think
interesting thing is, I don't mean to interrupt, but do you remember I was doing research for one video, I forget which one, but I posted the quote or something to a bunch of people. I think it was on either the chat we have with 𝗟𝗵𝗃 or the one in Chiblima's thing, but it was saying that it was an interview with Tantalus where they said that they went in and tried to add higher polygon models to everything to make it look like an actual updated HD game, but they decided it changed the look of Twilight Princess so much that it didn't fit the original atmosphere, so they ended up going back to the original models from the GameCube and Wii version and just had it in HD with new textures. But apparently they thought the same thing and went in and tried to fix it, but then thought it made it look strange and took it out.
Interesting. So, but most things wouldn't need much work. Like Wolflink's model looks great, I think, already. And most of the stuff is still good. But
what if they
just
added
like
the Breath of the Wild wolf model?
Is it different?
Is it?
I mean, other than it being cell shaded in Breath of the Wild instead of not cell shaded by the Princess, but I think they're pretty similar. Like it's not that much improved. I think Wolflink looks pretty good in already in Twilight Princess. So again, I'm not like the most like graphics have to be superb kind of guy, obviously, right? But yeah, there's like that was something that was really noticeable to me, especially in the HD remake. Is it just some of those jagged edges look a little jarring because of how nice everything else looks. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. And the NPCs in Castletown, yeah, someone in the chat just said that, and that's a good point. Castletown's NPCs especially look like very early 2000s, you know. So
yeah, it's a little bit of a giveaway.
Do you have anything to add, Geek?
Not as much as Daniel, but I sympathize with the whole, if they release it now, it's gonna be like, wait, because I still haven't finished Skyward Sword because life, lots of things. But after I finished Skyward Sword, I said that I would start Twilight Princess HD, which means hooking up my Wii and stuff. And I'm like, cool, I'll start that. So I'm like, I don't want to start that, and then it comes out on the Switch. And I'm gonna be like, no, why would you do this to me? Because I hate playing the Wii U. Like, it's fine, but it's like, I hate playing the Wii U, but I want to play Twilight Princess. And I've already played through Wind Waker HD. And I'm not gonna play Ocarina of Time until we can get that, which is coming. So I'm gonna be like, no. But also, yes.
Matt Fry in the chat says, I always prefer story over graphics, in which case I challenge you to go play The Legend of Zelda, Zelda's Adventure. Because it has a good story, but horrible graphics and gameplay.
Does it have a good story, though?
It does.
Does it really, though?
I mean, Link sets out on an adventure, gets lost, Zelda has to go save him.
Okay, that all sounds good in premise. But then in the rest, you know, that's a premise, not the whole story.
And gameplay has to help the story. Well, I mean, gameplay comes first and the story helps game. You know what I mean? If the gameplay stinks, you don't care about the story.
Yeah.
True.
So, while we're still on Zelda, something that makes me a bit sad but would help strengthen the video that I made, which Geek was kind enough to record for, talking about all of the different Zelda stuff that Nintendo released throughout the year, and if it all would have been announced on the same Nintendo Direct or even 2 Nintendo Directs, because there's like 20 different things altogether. They just also announced, like as soon as the video went up, they talked about like the Zelda Breath of the Wild minigame in WarioWare, and they announced actually I don't know if it was Nintendo officially, but that one company is releasing a bunch of Zelda inspired clothes, which I think is officially licensed by Nintendo.
Yeah, for a big company like that, it would have to be.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is. I think the Nintendo social medias are even promoting it. So
okay, so yeah, so that all comes out. Like it's just like a bunch of little stuff that seems like something that they would do as like another thing for a Zelda 35th, but because it was all spread out over the year, it's like no one really thinks about all of it together. And if it was in like a big direct, it would be like an hour-long direct. It's like, yeah, maybe there wouldn't be a lot of announcements, but or not a lot of big announcements, I mean, but you still get the original Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask with Nintendo Switch Online service, the N64 controllers, you get Skyward Sword HD updated with Amiibo and its own Joy-Cons, you get the Breath of the Wild trailer, you get the first 4 figures statues, and just all of this stuff, the Age of Calamity DLC, and putting all of it together with all of the other announcements they've had, it's a lot, which just happens to be on the same year that we have the 35th anniversary, but for some reason it's all not put together for a 35th anniversary. So that makes me think they had a couple of other big announcements that they couldn't do, so they just decided to break it all up, or for whatever reason they decided to break it all up anyways and spread it out throughout the year instead of having one big thing.
Right. People are going to roll their eyes at this, but because I'm going to mention Samus Hunter, who on Twitter has been garnering a reputation for themselves, but they tweeted about Zelda's 35th anniversary a while ago. I think it was maybe a month or 2 back, but saying pretty much what you've just said, actually, was that what they were saying was that Nintendo had a big 35th anniversary blowout planned. Something came up and they weren't able to follow through with all their plans. So that's why they had sort of what people are saying, lackluster stuff. But then they're still going to release a bunch of Zelda stuff. It's just not going to be under this big 35th anniversary direct banner like it was for Mario. But you're totally right in that if you do think about all the Zelda stuff that we have gotten this year, it is still a pretty substantial amount of stuff. I mean, like, think about really, what did we get for Mario? A bunch of merch, 3D All-Stars,
Honestly,
a re-release of 3D World with basically a really great expansion. Like, don't get me wrong, Bowser's Fury, fantastic piece of software. But if you think about it, like, that's basically what the Mario 35th anniversary was. 3D All-Stars, you got 3D World with Bowser's Fury, and a bunch
Mario
of merch.
Kart Live.
Oh, and Mario Kart Live. Was that? Oh, yeah, that was.
Yeah.
And so really Zelda has gotten close to the same amount of stuff, right? We got the Game & Watch, just like Mario got. We got a re-release like Mario got. We got the N64 games now coming to Switch, which Mario basically got a similar sort of thing with 3D All-Stars. So, yeah, exactly. So it's just, I don't know. If you think about it, I think sometimes we forget that other franchises exist, and Zelda fans get a little greedy because we want everything Zelda all the time because we're just passionate about it. But I think you're totally right that, like, if you take note of everything that's gone on the last year, it actually is a pretty substantial amount of Zelda stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I am looking forward to that Game & Watch as well, though, Aaron, and because Aaron was just saying in the chat he's gonna try and keep it. I
got the Game & Watch just like Mario did for its anniversary.
I love the Mario Game & Watch. I think it's a really neat little trinket, and I played it a little bit, and it's not something that I really am gonna play on a ton because it's a little tiny and uncomfortable to play on.
Is it the same?
But it's a neat collector's piece.
So a long time ago, Nintendo put out an actual Zelda Game & Watch that had, like, I think it had the 2 screens and everything where you fought I forgot his name, but it was like the dragon guy. Maybe it was just an unnamed dragon. I don't know.
Right.
But anyways, like, they had an actual Zelda Game & Watch game, but for some reason it doesn't come on this anniversary Game & Watch.
Right. But Link's Awakening is on it, and that's the selling point for me.
Yeah.
I know Zelda 1 and 2 are there, and sure, that's fine. But Zelda 1 and 2 you can play on so many platforms. Link's Awakening, the Game Boy version of Link's Awakening.
You're going to do your dungeon series on the Game & Watch.
using the Game & Watch.
Your webcam's placed right above it with a tripod staring at the screen. It'll be perfect.
That would be hilarious, but no, I won't. part of me wonders if they were to bring. We were talking before about Game Boy games wanting those to get put on Switch. Part of me wonders if they would hold off until after the Game & Watch has sold a bunch first, and then put them on Switch.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was interesting is Nintendo. It would have been perfect to announce alongside Skyward Sword, especially because it already had the Joy-Cons to go along with it. It had the amiibo. No, it didn't have the amiibo to go along with it. They waited until the next direct. Like, that was another point that I put in the video, was that holding off on a bunch of stuff because they're waiting until it's closer to release to announce it, or they're holding off and waiting for whatever reason, because even if they only focused on Skyward Sword during the first direct, they announced the Joy-Cons with it, but they, for some reason, held off until a few months later to announce the amiibo. And then they held off a few months later and announced the all of the Zelda songs, like orchestrated, releasing on CD with like 5 or 4 CDs or something like that. And it's like, they could have announced all of that at once, and it would have helped. Just for Skyward Sword, it would have helped hype it up and have people even more excited for it. Plus, they had a giveaway for the giant first 4 figures Loftwing Link statue that Geek has, that's like the size of the shoes Daniel throws at me, and it's just huge.
What?
I don't.
Wait, Geek, do you have this?
Wait, what?
I don't have it.
No,
I don't have anything from first 4
Geek.
figures.
I meant Miss Click. Sorry.
Okay, I was like, I do? No one informed me of this. I would have done an unboxing.
Check outside. There's a package waiting for you.
Oh my gosh, you found my address.
I actually watched, my cousin is really into Pokemon cards and stuff lately, so I showed her the video of all the stuff that Pokemon sent, that we had sent to Geek to unbox.
Right.
And she's like, and you didn't keep any of this?
Yeah,
I could have sent some of it. You're in the US.
No, it's fine.
You're not that far from me. I've actually wondered, like, off topic, but I've always wondered, I'm like, how many hours of a drive is Jesse from me? It's probably around like 10 or so.
I say I live in Tennessee, but it's more like Daniel's basement, so.
Yeah. I knew he was going to say
I can't
that.
say Canada because, well, we all know why, but.
On like, again, deviating from our main topics here, but I've publicly stated that before Jesse is welcome in Canada, before he ever is able to set foot in my country, he has to publicly acknowledge that it's real. He has to make a public statement saying that Canada's a real place before crossing the border, whether it be by car or plane.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
That is all.
There's also on. See, this is just a bunch of stuff that, like, Nintendo didn't announce in a direct. I don't think they've really talked about it on Twitter or anything, but it's on their website. They also have a bunch of new Zelda merch. For some is Breath of the Wild themed, and some, well, a lot is Skyward Sword themed, but they got like pillows and posters and shirts and everything that you can buy, and it's like, this is all stuff that they announced in the Mario Direct, but for some reason it's not stuff they announced in any of the Zelda directs.
The poster, that poster that came out with Skyward Sword, it's not a Skyward Sword poster. It's like a Zelda series poster. Even the link on it is Link from Twilight Princess, not Skyward Sword. and then on the backside, it's just like all characters and like there's the Zelda logo. So it's really funny that like that's definitely like an anniversary poster, not a Skyward Sword poster.
Yeah, I had it where I said 35 in my video, but apparently it was 30. Where you had to buy like that specific number worth of Zelda stuff before you could get the poster. It wasn't one that they gave away with if you bought like Link's Awakening or Breath of the Wild or Skyward Sword, like they did if you buy Skyward Sword, you get the one poster. But it's specifically for people that spend $30 or more on anything Zelda related. Like that's the Skyward Sword one.
That's a Skyward Sword poster. That one's gorgeous, by the way. They also had the acrylic thing that you could redeem my Nintendo points for. I didn't have enough points for it because I always forget to even collect them. But the platinum points, that's what it is, not your gold points, because it's very confusing. But the acrylic plaque poster thing that it was looked really nice though. Yeah.
I just I see all the comments from people that's like, Nintendo hasn't done anything except Skyward Sword for the anniversary. And I'm like, well, they've announced like 10 different things, but they've not announced, or they've left like 50 things that they've done go unannounced. Because there's even the Zelda series anniversary statue that they have in their Nintendo World Store. They actually are selling almost the size of first 4 figure statues. They're selling the figure for it. And that statue is the one everyone has always said that they wish Nintendo would sell smaller versions of. And they are. They're just not announcing it for some reason.
I don't want them to sell smaller versions of it. I want them to sell me the full-size version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want a Link statue that's taller than me. Just put it in the corner behind me here.
Yeah.
That would be disturbing. That'd be the type of thing that you walk in the room in the middle of the night and you're like, there's someone in my house.
Let's get the giant guardian that they had at E3 while we're at it.
If I saw a giant guardian, even though I know those aren't real, I think I'd pee myself.
I forgot where it was. It was either a park or something. Someone went and put just one of those giant guardians.
Oh,
in a random park. And no one... I mean, it was probably Reggie, because he was about to quit anyways, apparently. So, that's my theory. He was like, if this doesn't give me fired...
Going out with a bang.
Like, who cares? If this gets me fired, doesn't matter. I'm quitting anyways.
Wow.
You can't fire Reggie.
No, he's too good.
He's too powerful.
Yeah.
No.
So, our other piece... No, okay. Before we move on, instead of just ending it abruptly, what is one announcement that you would either like to see or think they will give before the end of the year? We could have a direct coming up. Not likely, because we just had one that announced a bunch of stuff. I do think more stuff is going to be announced later on outside of a direct, similar to the Kingdom Hearts games being announced, which is something they could have done in the last direct, but that would have given away the character probably. But just like we mentioned, all of the Skyward Sword themed stuff that they announced after they announced Skyward Sword, when it would have made sense to announce it with it. For whatever reason, they're holding off on stuff. So if they are holding off on something Zelda related, and they plan to announce it on its own, like they did with the Skyward Sword amiibo features for the Loftwing and the first set of Age of Calamity DLC, they released those like a couple of weeks before the actual Nintendo Direct. So if they do something like that, which we already know we're going to be getting at least one announcement, which will just be showing off more of the Age of Calamity second DLC. So aside from that, what do you guys want to see, or would you like to see that gets announced? Because I do think a high chance of something happening at the Game Awards, because Nintendo is always saying stuff at the Game Awards. Sometimes it was Smash Bros. Characters, but honestly, they can't really do that anymore. So maybe it's Zelda related, maybe it's something else, but what do you guys think? Taker610 says something I can't pronounce.
It's not real words.
Nope.
𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏
It's a mix of a city from both Tennessee and Canada, mixed with something Tennessee related, and then I have no idea what. Having to
I
do
assume
with.
like Saskatoon in Saskatchewan,
that makes sense.
But then Nashville, Tennessee. So it's Nashkatoon, yes.
Nashville is a very. I have like Nashville, like LA, is a city that I've only ever had really good memories in, because I only go to them for special things, like either E3 with everyone, or in Nashville is mostly the city that I go to when, like, before the end times of the pandemic. It was like I would only go to Nashville when I was visiting or hanging out with that one band, 𝗙𝗵𝗲.
Wow.
So not quite Nashville that I live in, but a few hours away.
Nice.
Yeah. I have no idea what the...
I'll tell you, Saskatoon's in the middle of nowhere, so...
Yeah.
Saskatchewan is a prairie province. It's all just flatlands and farms and wheat.
And
that's literally a province famous for wheat. So it's in the boring part of Canada. Don't even.
Oh no.
I'm gonna offend somebody that watches it. Like, I'm from Saskatchewan. Jam Vancouverites. Anyways.
But yes, Daniel.
Game Awards.
I think you can either think of hers.
Not really, though. I'm feeling very content with what we've got so far. Like, maybe if they want to show a Zelda trailer for Breath of the Wild sequel, sure, but that's all I can think of really that I would want to see. Everything else that I want to see more of is coming before the Game Awards. So
yeah, we'll probably get Majora's Mask announced for the online thing before the Game Awards as well. Like, I think that'll be like the second or third month after it launches.
But they've already said, like, it's coming, right? They just have to update it. They'll probably just post it on Twitter when it, that's what they usually do with the NSO updates. So, yeah.
I mean, I could see them doing something with Twilight Princess HD, maybe. Or would be nice to get another trailer, like a really good trailer. I mean, I've loved all the trailers for the sequel to Breath of the Wild, just because I'm excited to say there's a sequel, even after like 2 years. I'm like, yay! Cool, we have a sequel. As far as what I would want, if I was being completely unrealistic, I would love to find out that the Oracle games were getting the Link's Awakening treatment. That would be amazing if I was, massive pipe dream, just because I've never played them and they have very similar art and music style to Link's Awakening. So I'd be like, that'd be great. So if I was really spitballing, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I agree. That would be. I don't see them like doing a lot of big game announcements like before they've announced DLC or showing gameplay for games that are already announced. But I don't see big game announcements at the Game Awards for, I don't know. That's just me. But not Link's Awakening, the Oracle games. Sorry, I agree would be cool. I have them. I bought them recently on the 3DS eShop, and I still haven't played them. I've just had too many other things to play. Playing too much Skatebird.
Aren't they ending the eShop soon?
That's why I bought them. I didn't want to miss my chance.
Ooh, smart.
That was exactly what that was the catalyst. That was like, you know what? If there's any games that have been sitting on my wish list that I need to cash in now is the time to do it. So I bought both Oracle games.
Are you lucky enough to have the anniversary edition of Four Swords?
No, I am not. Makes me sad.
It would be a perfect game since they're adding online function to everything to put on the eShop. Not eShop. Is it the eShop? Yeah, it's the eShop. Yeah.
Yeah, any of the multiplayer Zeldas would do better on Switch, just because of the online functionality. Our buddy 𝗟𝗵𝗃 recently streamed Four Swords Adventures, and I was watching some of his streams. When I have the time to tune in, And I kept thinking the whole time, well, first of all, I was like, I love the visual style of this game. It feels like a precursor to like what Octopath Traveler was. You know what I mean? Like it was sprite-based sort of 2D gameplay, but they did sprinkle in some 3D elements here and there. But it was like very detailed lighting and stuff like that, like because it was on the game.
The power of the GameCube.
Yeah, exactly. So the lighting effects and stuff was really good, and I was like, this game would be so good on Switch with online multiplayer added, and it would be so much better on Switch than Triforce Heroes because it's not just a good multiplayer Zelda game; it actually handles well in a single player mode as well. So like Triforce Heroes is, I found trying to play it single player extremely boring. I got so bored of it. But Four Swords Adventures is I mean that's the game was made to be multiplayer, right? And I haven't tried playing it multiplayer, but I think that if I gave it a full, like a proper go multiplayer, that I'd probably have a good time. I thought Four Swords Adventures was also more fun playing it multiplayer when we played it together, Jesse. That was like the most fun I've had with that game ever. But it still works as a single player game because you actually control all four characters at once. They sort of trail in tandem and stuff, and you can switch formations, and it works so much better than Triforce Heroes. So yeah, put that game on Switch. Give us online multiplayer with friends. Not with randos. I don't want to play with randos.
Oh gosh, no, the communication would be horrible.
Oh yeah.
You need to be able to voice chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, also put voice chat.
Triforce Heroes just has the emojis.
Yeah, two better.
Which are great. I love the emojis.
They're great
in my
for
Discord. Yeah. That's about it.
That's the best thing to come out of Triforce Heroes is those little emojis to put them in Discord.
Yep. Sometimes I put them in videos, but seldom because I end up using my face most of the time.
I think I've put the thumbs up one in like a thumbnail. Yeah, that's all I got. We could probably move on to the next topic then.
Yeah. Before we do, I forgot to mention the Breath of the Wild 2 thing was part of the rumored reason for the game to be delayed and the potential for us to get the Wind Waker Twilight Princess thing was because, and this is kind of similar to one of the interviews Nintendo had a long time ago for the original Breath of the Wild, that after the initial teaser trailer and everyone loved the Guardians and they seen people always discussing it online, they changed Breath of the Wild to be more focused on the Guardians. Apparently the new rumor for Breath of the Wild 2 suggests that because of Skyward Sword doing better than they thought and the reaction to the trailer being more positive than they thought, that they wanted to put even more of a focus on the sky areas. So maybe. Yeah. I could see them doing that already. But yeah.
As long as they make the sky areas in Breath of the Wild sequel, I'm sure they will actually, just based on the trailers. But as long as they make them more engaging, like robust and with more stuff to do than in Skyward Sword, because that was something that I realized I should have mentioned in a video I did. But that was something there was definitely room for improvement in Skyward Sword. It's very barren, and there's just not, like, there's the treasure chests that you unlock with the goddess cubes, but and Skyloft, and like a couple tiny islands that, but there's not as much substance to it as like even the Great Sea in Wind Waker, you know.
And they even had a bunch of islands in Wind Waker that they took out. Oh, I forgot, that was another thing for Wind Waker. I should have pulled up the thing so I could read it, but apparently Nintendo was going to add more islands to the Wind Waker thing. It didn't say if it was islands that they had already taken out from the original or if it would be new islands. But if they do have a bonus dungeon, I could see it being on one of the larger islands, because there are a bunch of islands that could still be purposed for the same thing, just be bigger with additional stuff.
Yeah,
and it could always use more tingles.
I don't think they're gonna re-add any cut dungeons, because when Wind Waker HD first came out, Aonuma already addressed that. He basically someone had asked him, and he said, "Well, we won't add any of the cut dungeons from this game because we already used them in another game."
And then he got up and walked away.
But, yeah, we don't know which Zelda game. But yeah, we know whatever dungeons they had to cut out of Wind Waker, they repurposed for. I'm going to assume Twilight Princess, but could be another one.
Phantom Hourglass, maybe.
Could even have been Phantom Hourglass,
just
or
like 2D-ified.
Possibly.
Or like changed to an overhead perspective, I guess, more than like it's still 3D polygons and stuff. It's just like a fixed camera. But there's a certain level of depth that's not literal depth, but like gameplay depth that's not as prominent in Phantom Hourglass with their dungeons. But yeah, I don't know. But I can see them adding a new dungeon like they did with Twilight Princess HD or something. And there's some islands there that are pretty pointless. Like they are 𝗏𝗃𝗄𝗃 Islands. I don't remember what they're all called.
There was it Great Fish Isle?
Great Fish Isle.
Yeah.
There's definitely room to put something in there, for sure.
They actually had it fully complete. Apparently it was going to be like one of the larger islands in Wind Waker with its own dungeon and everything, but they decided to take the dungeon out, and they could have then just left the island with whatever characters would have been there or side quests, but they were like, no, let's just destroy the whole island and take it out. Even though everything's already 100% complete, we just feels like it slows down the pace of the game. And it's like, but you literally have the Triforce quest, which does slow down the pace. Nobody would have complained about an additional dungeon, but
no, more dungeons is good.
Yeah, look at Twilight Princess.
Twilight Princess, I'm kind of because I've been working on Twilight Princess for some videos. I'm going to shamelessly plug myself there, but I'm kind of in awe about just how much stuff they squeezed into Twilight Princess. Because in like all the dungeons are pretty. That's true too. Like that game was had a pretty short turnaround, all things considered, and that game's got 9 main dungeons plus optional dungeon, and tons of like outside of the dungeon story stuff. And there's a lot crammed into that game. And even Skyward Sword has only 7 dungeons. It has less than Skyward Sword or than Twilight Princess, and it came out 5 years later. So it's kind of impressive, you know.
Twilight Princess wasn't delayed because of development issues. It was delayed because, from interviews at least, Aonuma had the idea to add in Wolf Link somewhere in the middle of development, and so then they had to like make a good part of the game playable by Wolf Link, and then he decided he wants Link to start as Wolf Link, which made them change a bunch of stuff in the beginning of the game, and then he decided that it would be best if he didn't start as Wolf Link because people want to get straight to playing as Link, so then they had to change it once again. And apparently Old Kakariko Village wasn't in the game, or not crossbow, but the thing that inspired the Link's crossbow training wasn't in the game. Village. Yeah, and then they put it in the game and was like, oh, but what if people play through and don't find it? So then they made it required, and I don't know, it was just odd because it seems like Twilight Princess had a bunch of delays for just like the oddest reasons. Like, let's play as a wolf. Let's make them play as a wolf from the beginning. Like, are you sure you don't just want to make a wolf game, Aonuma?
Maybe he does. That's what was it, Okami?
Yeah.
George in the chat is saying that Twilight Princess is pretty big and has cool stuff, but the pacing doesn't help it a lot. I actually kind of disagree. I think the game has very solid pacing.
Maybe it means the beginning. Where you like
the beginning
is the fish and the bass.
Yeah, barring the beginning.
First, you could cut a good hour out of the beginning of the game, but after that point, After that point, I think that it's good pacing because you have this sort of flow of like stuff to do and then the dungeon and then some story stuff to do and then the dungeon and then some story. Like there's that sort of flow of pacing.
And there's at least a little bit of exploration.
And yeah, exactly. And they kind of like trail you through a new area to have you do some wolf stuff and, then another dungeon. Skyward Sword, I think, has worse pacing because you still have that long intro that's like you kind of have to bear through, and then it has.
Can you help me move this barrel 2 feet?
Stretches. Yeah, there's that too. Really long stretches between the dungeons, and then especially between the last 2 dungeons, getting and the 3rd and 4th dungeon. There's like 2 gaps where it's like really long stretches comparatively. Like the first 3 dungeons, you have like stuff, dungeon, some stuff, dungeon, and then get to after the linear mining facility, like you have to do a whole bunch of stuff to get to the ancient cistern, and they have to make you revisit Skyview and do all these stuff, and then you get back to your regular pacing, and then before Skykeep, it's just like you could have fit a whole nother dungeon's worth of stuff between those last 2 dungeons. Just because they having you run around and do so much stuff. I think that game's pacing could have taken notes from Twilight Princess. But the beginning is really, really grueling of both games.
Apparently there was something announced about a brand new game, Animal Crossing. Have you heard about this game or what they're doing for it? I have no idea what it is. Can you explain it all to me?
You know about the direct that my mom totally predicted the date for. Not
That's
me.
True.
My mom. It was so casual too. She messages me and she goes, "Do you think that Animal Crossing Direct will be on the 15th?" The only reason she knew about it is because, I don't know, she had seen an announcement somewhere and she was like, "Do you think everyone from all the stuff you do will be watching this Nintendo Direct?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go home and watch it before the podcast." And then that's when she was like, "No, are you gonna record your reaction?" I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "I think you should record it." And I was like, apparently there was something good, and there was. But then she texted me like a couple of days later. She was like, "I think, what if it was on October 15th? And I was like, "Why?" And she goes, "Well, I was looking up stuff about Brewster and stuff," because she's played all the Animal Crossing games. And she missed him. She was like, "Oh, I miss him," and blah, blah, blah. And it was funny. She was like, "Oh, I want to have jobs again." I was like, "Mom, the jobs thing was in New Leaf, which you never played." I should clarify. She did not play Wild World and New Leaf because those were on handhelds, and that was too small of a screen for her. But she played the GameCube and the City Folk. She was like, "Well, I was looking up about him, and I found out that his birthday's October 15th, and isn't this Direct kind of inspired by him?" And I was like, "Mom, you're a genius." And so I made a video on it. I was like, "Mom, I'm going to capitalize on it." She was like, "Okay." I was like, "I'm going to clarify that it's you." But yeah, then there was an announcement that the Direct is going to be on October 15th, which is Brewster's birthday. And it's going to be about 20 minutes long. And praise God, it's on a Friday in the morning, the one day that I can actually stream my reaction.
What time is it at, actually?
10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, it's gonna be so early. 7.
Yeah, I know. All for 20 minutes. All for 20 minutes.
Oh no! I won't stream it, but I might record it. But I may or may not.
While you're drinking coffee.
Yeah. But I may or may not actually upload a reaction. I didn't with the Smash announcement. I didn't end up. I was like recording a reaction, but then I decided not to upload it because I was like, my reactions are boring. So, or at least to that it was, because I'm not a Kingdom Hearts fan. But
yeah.
But very happy for those Kingdom Hearts fans. But yeah, no, I'm very excited to. I never played those old Animal Crossing games, but I know that people have been really asking for Brewster for a long time. So I feel like I don't know. That's just I'm looking forward to it, to seeing kind of what I've been missing out on, I guess. Yeah. So yeah.
It's only 20 minutes. That does make me think there's not going to be a lot. But then again, I'm also like, okay, how could Animal Crossing, what could they have in Animal Crossing that would fill 45 minutes, to be fair? So I'm like, true. You know what, maybe that is more than I'm thinking, because I forget how simple Animal Crossing is. But still. But
it might just be like overview stuff. Like they might not get into the like details of stuff because they don't want to
perhaps
ruin the surprise. I kind of hope that they keep it a little vague in some so yeah because
nice.
There's some joy to be had in surprises sometimes.
Oh yeah. And especially if they drop like a lot of little hints that like maybe people who this is their first game will be like, what does that mean? And then a bunch of us who have played all of them will be like, no way.
Yeah, no, that would be really cool.
I don't know what his
previous games was.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. This question for Geek though. In previous games, was the roost in the museum as well?
Depends on which game. I don't recall for Wild World whether he was even in it. I don't think he was introduced in City Folk though. But in City Folk, he was in the museum. He was like on the ground level. Like everything, like it was so simplified. It was like go downstairs. There's the roost. Fossils, art, water, all that stuff. And then in New Leaf, he had his own shop on your island, in your town. And so it was his own place. That's where KK would come, and you could stash gyroids with him. Same within City Folk, which I know a lot of people are like, what the heck is a gyroid? They are the best and worst thing ever. I love them so much. And we need them back. There's like over 800 different kinds. So they need to bring them back. I think it's like 875. And then you could do jobs for him where like people would come in with a specific coffee order or whatever, and you could make it for them. So he's been in the museum, but he's also been just an establishment.
I wonder if it'll be like an upgrade deal. But I honestly would have preferred it be his own shop, not just part of the museum.
That would have been cool.
A coffee shop in the museum seems weird to me. Yeah, I don't know.
Coffee shops in general seem weird to me.
I don't drink coffee, but I do drink hot tea.
Yeah, I'm sure the Roost sells hot tea and hot cocoa and stuff.
Well, he makes his stuff with special pigeon milk, and apparently it's amazing.
Coffee makes Daniel chase birds.
Pigeon milk?
Yeah, he always talks about that. He's like, I used my special pigeon milk.
Is that why
and
you
your
were
character
chasing
will always
birds?
drink it and then turn to the camera and be like, wow, that was amazing.
What?
It's true.
We were in Little Tokyo, and Daniel was chasing a bird to get pigeon milk for his coffee.
That's
very much not true.
Not quite what happened, but
Did you have a coffee?
I think I had already finished it by the time we were in Little Tokyo.
I was going to say, did you have a coffee? Were you chasing a bird? Why else would you?
I did chase a pigeon, but not for milk reasons. So anyways, we got a super chat from Verne.
Oh, that's true. That was a while back.
Who $5 said, giant Dodongo in the room. Casting for the Mario film. Thoughts? Actually, Geek, you made a video about this.
Yeah, I did. Oh, you want me to say something about it?
Yeah, tell us your thoughts.
Well, now I'm trying to remember what I said. I was trying to play, for want of better phrasing, devil's advocate a little bit, because even I was like, okay, whatever. But right off the bat, I have to give the caveat of I don't think video games should be made into movies. Mm-hmm. Like, I just don't. A lot of people liked the Sonic movie. I don't know, I didn't watch it. Same with Detective Pikachu. And I think whether or not the casting was a good choice really depends on the direction they're going with the film. Because at first I was like, I love Chris Pratt, but that's weird. But then as I thought about it more and more, I was like, well, what direction are they going? Like, would the really high-pitched, funny-sounding Italian man really work for the direction they're going? But then again, you could still argue, even if so, couldn't Charles Martinet still do a different voice, even if they needed a different direction? Or would that be weird to be like, you're playing Mario, but you can't use your Mario voice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a lot of things. I don't know most of the people, but other than Jack Black, it seemed like all of these were very what type of choices, except maybe Peach. I don't know much about her. But all the others, based on what little I know, I was like, why? But it really depends on the direction they're going and what kind of movie they're making, I guess. Because obviously Detective Pikachu, that's not how you would expect Pikachu to sound.
True. But at least in Detective Pikachu, there's a scene that I find incredibly hilarious. It's probably my favorite part of the movie. But I'm going to say this. I thought Detective Pikachu was a fine movie. It was not a masterpiece. It wasn't this artistic, you know, piece of media that blew my mind. It was fine. It was a fun movie, but very much like I acknowledge it was definitely a cash grab, right? But
Oh yeah.
there is the scene with Detective Pikachu where only the main character, I think his name's Tim, something like that. He can actually hear Detective Pikachu talking to everyone else. He sounds like normal Pikachu. And then you even get a shot from the other person's perspective, and he's like, Pika Pika. And I find that so funny. But yeah, anyways, that scene was really well done. But I don't know. Like I if it was anyone but Charles, I would have been upset, honestly. I have nothing necessarily against Chris Pratt as an actor, but I just feel like they already had the definitive voice of Mario in their pocket and chose not to use him. And I saw someone on Twitter was like, well, Charles Martinet's not really an actor. And I'm like, but he is.
But he
is. Like, movies before he was Mario. Like, and somebody was like, I don't think that same person had said on Twitter, again, Twitter is not a great place for maybe to be intellectually stimulated, but they, to say the least. But they were saying, like, I don't think Charles Martinet is a professional voice actor technically. And I'm like,
oh, wait, what?
What? That's literally his job. Yes, he's a professional voice actor. He gets paid to provide his voice for things.
And not just Mario, like
Skyrim.
Not just
few characters for like decades.
Talking dragon in Skyrim, and he's like this snarly, deep-voiced Parthenax the dragon, and it's so good. And the fact that was Mario's voice blew my mind, right? But yeah,
it's like learning about Sean Chiplock playing both the Deku Tree and Rivali. It's like, I'm sorry, what? Those are not the same entities.
Exactly. It's that showcase of range, you know. He's a very talented actor. So yeah, that was something else. But I do love that everybody at least unanimously agrees that Jack Black was a great choice.
True.
I don't think there will be any issue with that.
He's just so talented.
Jack Black's hilarious.
He is.
He really is. I recently found out that he has a gaming channel in which there's a running joke in which he very rarely actually uploads gaming videos. A lot of it's just vlog stuff. So every week after week, it's like, oh, sorry, no gaming video this week. But it's literally called
Sounds like my channel.
Gaming. He's just a very funny guy who uploads very infrequently there. But the fact that he does that, he's so into the gaming culture. He was at E3 one of the years we were there, and I didn't see him. And that he had a whole vlog of him being at E3. And I was just watching it the other day, and I was like, how did I not know he was there? I was in the same building as Jack Black.
I thought Geek told us.
I don't. It's been a couple years though, so
I wasn't at E3.
Yeah, wait a minute.
I keep saying
I was
Geek
never
because
there.
She's on video, but I meant Tubes.
Everyone's
just Geek.
The day is gonna come though where I'm finally gonna see all three of you in person. Y'all are gonna recognize how short I am. I mean, I know y'all have been around shorter than me. Like, I'm pretty sure there are others that are shorter than me, and Miss Click is also short and everything. But I think it'll be hilarious to finally have the Gamescast together one day, and everyone's just gonna be like, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You'll help balance out me feeling short around Jessie. So.
And everyone's
I'm
5'2" around
half, guys.
Oh no. Another
pretty sure
weird.
Jessie's at least a whole foot taller than me.
I think so. I'm 5'10", so I'm not like a tall guy. Pretty average height. But Jessie definitely towers over me. You can see it in the pictures from when we went those 2 years. But another point of Mario movie cast, the one that really made me crack up, because Jack Black was like, oh, that makes sense. It's kind of funny. But Toad's voice is Keegan-Michael Key, and I was so confused and amused by that choice. Like, are they just gonna play it straight with him doing his normal voice for Toad, or is he gonna put on a Toad voice, or what's gonna happen with that? I have no idea, but that made me laugh. So absolutely.
the casting definitely makes you wonder what direction they're trying to take this. It's like, what is this gonna be? Because we don't know anything but the casting and the fact that it's Illumination Studios. I had something else. Oh, and I think the other thing I said in the video was like, as much as I'll try to justify all these picks, in the end, I know it's one thing. Cash grab is the big thing. Because to those of us in the gaming community, of course, off the top of our head, we were like, why not Charles Martinet? But to anyone who like played it once when they were 8, and then they have memories of it, but they don't have any idea who played Mario ever. They would be like, oh, cool, Chris Pratt. It's like, I like Chris Pratt, but it's cash grab.
The idea that I've seen the most people talk about, other than just basing it on video game stories that have already happened, is that the actor will be playing, like physically playing the Mario game, and then get sucked into it, and that's why he sounds like Mario. And then like a story like that, which is, I think they've done a couple of movies like that
essentially.
Before.
Yeah, that's like Jumanji.
Yeah, it's the remade Jumanji, which also had Jack Black, and he was hilarious in that.
That's true.
Oh, so good.
I will say though, I know Chris Pratt is putting on a voice because he did say that on Twitter. He posted a video of him. The video, he goes, "It's a me," and then he stops. He's like, "Don't," like, and he's speaking in his normal voice, right? And he's like, "Don't worry, that's not how Mario's going to sound. We're working on the voice." And
how much of an Italian accent is he going to have?
Right? But we know he
Italians
is like
get mad.
Yeah, so it's not just going to be like straight Chris Pratt voice for Mario. So yeah, but I think Jack Black can just do his normal voice pretty much.
I just snarl and growl.
Yeah. Well, he does that normally anyway. So
there's a fine line between an offensive Italian accent, which Mario definitely crosses, and
I can't remember who it was, but I remember talking to someone who was Italian. This was years ago, probably a good decade ago. And they said that they were Italian. And the first question I asked them, I said, "Is Mario an offensive Italian stereotype?" And they didn't even answer the question. They just acted as if I had said nothing. So we'll never know. We'll never know.
Just like the first Mario movie, is all of Mario's personality going to be based around that he's a plumber? Because
I hope not.
Not a great storyline.
Not so much. Are they gonna have him start in Brooklyn though, like in the original, the 80s Mario movie? That's the question. And he gets like pulled into the Mushroom Kingdom or something.
See,
the
connection none of us is thinking about is this is just going to be a Wreck-It Ralph spinoff. Because Bowser,
that seems like the best case scenario to me. Actually,
Bowser was already in.
Honestly, those were good movies.
I never saw the second one, but I enjoyed the first Wreck-It Ralph quite a bit, and the fact that they were like, okay, this is a game where we're video game characters, but they weren't trying to do like the Sonic movie approach, where it's like, or the Smurfs movie or whatever, where it's like, oh, they're just, the characters are pulled into the real world and everything's weird about it. They just played it like these are video game characters, but that's also the setting, as they're in video games, and that's like the best case scenario if you're gonna do a video game movie. Although Wreck-It Ralph in general was the best case scenario for a video game based movie, because they weren't adapting an existing game; they were just making their own story, and that was the backdrop for it. So
Mario Kart was the backdrop.
Mario Kart, off-brand Mario Kart was the backdrop. Yeah.
What was it? In Wreck-It Ralph 2, they actually had permission to use Mario, but they felt people would essentially be more excited about seeing Mario in a movie instead of
that makes
their own
sense.
character, so they left him out to not distract.
But then they put in a bunch of Disney princesses, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And they used,
like the whole
other
trailer.
than Snow White, they were all the original voice actresses.
Daniel is Duke Kaboom and an offensive Canadian stereotype.
Forgot about Duke Kaboom.
No, he's not. We love Duke Kaboom.
Totally forgot about Duke Kaboom.
I love how he's he looks like he's what's it called? Like stop motion animated.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
Everyone else is moving at 24 frames, and he's moving at like 2.
He's like almost like out of Robot Chicken.
Do all Canadians move at 2 frames?
As you can see, that's how I move. So with some of the technical issues I've had on stream before, it sure feels like I move at 2 frames per second sometimes, but but that's a different story.
Cute Adam Sandler saying Dinky King.
Dinky King. Another super chat. Mage, just showing you guys some love as I'm wrapping up my birthday festivities. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I hope the boys give you Metroid for your birthday. Now, you said that was your gift to yourself already, so.
What kind of cake
We're talking about that on Discord. Tell us about cake.
Yes. Or did you have something else, like brownies?
Or ice cream.
Okay,
or ice cream cake.
Brownie with ice cream. Oh my gosh. When ice cream melts on a fresh brownie.
With Animal Crossing?
I think so.
I was going to say one more thing about Animal Crossing.
Tell us.
Because Aaron pointed something out about the museum thing. Because I did always think it was weird that the coffee shop was in the museum, but it made me think of something. He pointed out that if it was like also a gift shop, that would make more sense. But then I remembered that because it does sort of make sense if KK Slider is in there. Because then it's like, oh, he's just serving coffee while people come to the museum, which is already a chill place to hear music. But then again, some of KK's songs are not chill. So
that's true.
Which I am curious if they're going to put KK back in there or if they're going to keep him where he is or do something else.
I was going to say... Daniel?
No, I was just thinking that's a good point because KK's... I hate how he's placed in the plaza. He stands way too close to the doors.
Yes, and it's awkward. Makes me feel intrusive when I need to go do something like, sorry, man, but move. Yeah. I need to go get money out of my account.
I think anyone who has done any theater would feel like weird and awkward about it because performing and you just like walk behind him. And so, yeah. I've
performed outside in areas like that, and it's not.
It's definitely awkward. Yeah, but yeah, I again, this would be great if they just made it its own building instead of a museum then, because then you could have like lots of coffee shops in real life have like space for live musicians to perform, right? So
it's true.
Could have put them in there. Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
And this is on Brewster's birthday?
Yeah.
The direct. Yes. But that means we will have to wait. Because does the direct's October 15th? I think
but the stuff's coming in November.
So we're going to have to wait nearly a year for his birthday. We have to wait till next year.
Which I don't think anything happens in game on his birthday. Not that I recall. They might now. But so I do think it's perfect that they're adding the coffee shop during like the pinnacle of autumn. Like you can imagine just a little bit, just getting your coffee. In my case, it would be tea, but still, like that's very fitting for autumn when it's chilly.
He'll remind everyone they missed his birthday, and he's sad about it.
No pigeon milk for you.
Oh no, I missed my birthday, or missed his birthday. Sorry. Yeah.
So, I was gonna say, when is your birthday? What? No.
The thing I was going to mention is since they released DLC with him, or not DLC. Well, yeah, it is DLC, but they announced DLC with him.
Free DLC.
On his birthday. So the infamous character left out of Breath of the Wild was Tingle. And I don't think he has a birthday, but if he was announced...
He was never born. He doesn't exist.
Yeah, like, I know Breath of the Wild DLC is 99% not going to happen at this point, but Age of Calamity DLC that's coming up, if they introduce Tingle, and they just happen to drop that it was his birthday that day for just whatever reason, I think it would be hilarious. Like, everyone's giving their opinion on characters they want for Age of Calamity, but then, like, if Tingle is a bonus character. Like, he wasn't in Breath of the Wild because he died.
Oh, no. But they did that with Hyrule Warriors. They gave us Tingle as DLC for the original Hyrule Warriors. So history repeats itself, I guess.
Ew.
Oh no.
So apparently the character that everyone hated on, saying that, oh, they would never put him in Smash Brothers. Disney hates Nintendo, or Square Enix hates Nintendo. That's why whatever.
That's why they keep making games for Switch, right?
Yeah,
Because
and
they hate
then
Nintendo.
Yeah.
they ended up announcing Sora for Smash Bros. Not just Sora, but literally almost every version of Sora is going to be in there. From like 1, 2, 3,
Right.
the 3DS game,
Oh yeah.
like a whatever that one version of him was. I forgot the actual name. But
The Timeless River one.
yeah.
This like old style, old timey. It's the Cuphead style.
I think it's meant to resemble Steamboat Willie.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. That sort of classic era of Disney.
I thought they were
stuff.
going to add in Kingdom Hearts 3 they have the Toy Story looks.
I could that would be interesting. Something I find funny about Sora added are kind of losing their mind, like the stages and stuff. They're like they've censored out all of the Disney imagery like Goofy and Donald, and I'm like, yeah, of course they did. Because then they'll have to pay more royalties just for showing it. Like,
And
like,
it's not going to be cheap.
Yeah, that's Disney money. Come on. Of course they did. I'm not surprised at all. The fact, but I'm not. It's kind of amazing that Sakurai is able to pull the strings he does to get these things into Smash. I'm not a Kingdom Hearts fan. I haven't played a single Kingdom Hearts game, but
Me either.
this is kind of what you said earlier. I was really just all the people that have wanted this for so long, and seeing like people's reactions, HMK losing his mind. His Twitter feed that day was something else. and
YouTube video reaction got like 200,000 views in like 24 hours.
He was trending on YouTube as well that day because of his reaction. And I saw Miss Click's reaction, and she was like brought to tears in Miss Click fashion. It's just that's the thing, is like not every character added to this game is designed with me specifically in mind, and I think that's something people forget when they're wanting Smash Fighters. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy the characters. Like, I really enjoy playing as Terry in Smash. I've never played King of Fighters, so there is that. But you can still enjoy the character in Smash, and you can still be happy for the people that got the character they wanted. Especially when it's a really big deal, like Kingdom Hearts. Huge franchise. Huge franchise. Yeah.
I feel like the way they introduced him was just so perfect too, because I mean, I don't recall all of the introductions, but they all were like something fighting, here's this person, you know, not to like downplay them, but it always had to do with big fighting, whereas his was like, here's everyone, here's one more. They didn't start off by like some of the people fighting and then inserting the new fighter. It was this really Disney fashion magical reveal, and it was so upbeat and light, and you weren't thinking, like, for a second I was like, oh, this is a fighting game, that's right. Which made sense. And of course the moment I saw, like, I wondered if it was a Keyblade, but then it was like I saw the Mickey head, which someone commented that putting the Mickey emblem was probably cost more than getting Sora.
Probably, honestly, yeah.
Really though,
that logo, yeah.
But I didn't record my reaction because I don't care enough about Smash. But I actually like screamed out loud. I was home alone and started crying because I was like, I don't like, not like how I did for Breath of the Wild 2. That's different. But just because I was like, I know so many people who are going to be so happy about this. Like, I wanted it on their behalf. You know, I don't play Smash. I don't play Kingdom Hearts. I mean, I cried with Banjo-Kazooie and I still don't play Smash, even though I love Banjo and Kazooie. It was just one of those moments of just feeling so much joy for people who always wanted that, but probably in the back of their minds were going, will it ever happen? I don't know. Like, that's such a complicated situation, and I feel like he should have always been there. Not should have, but it makes sense that he's there, and it works, and it's really cool to see that crossover. So there was a lot of just excitement for other people. And then, of course, I had to watch HMK and 𝗵𝗀𝗃's reaction because I knew how much they loved it, especially HMK. I had seen all his videos about how he was like, they could do it because of A, B, and C. And there were some reaction videos I was watching where the first thing they said was, oh, HMK's losing his mind. Everyone knew it was HMK that was going to lose it.
That's because he's been championing the idea, and he's even made videos on like why Sora could come to Smash, because so many people are like, Disney wouldn't do that, Square wouldn't let them use it. And it's like, they already put Final Fantasy characters in. Why would Square not allow them to put Sora in?
Yeah.
And
the thing is, like, Smash started as, you know, its own slogan being like Nintendo star characters. But by the time of the end of the Wii U, Smash for Wii U, like, it has had really, even Brawl to an extent because of Snake and Sonic, it had really transcended beyond that. It's now just like bringing gaming icons together in this epic crossover. And yeah, like, I never saw a reason he couldn't be. Like, obviously some things have to be like people pointed out, the Goofy and Donald have to be scrubbed out of some stained glass window in the background of one of the stages. Oh well, you know, that doesn't compromise the integrity of Sora as a fighter, though. And like, we were able to get Banjo. That was already something people were saying would never happen, right? Like, people, there's actually, come to think of it, Ultimate really has been the showcase of like anything's possible. We were saying Ridley's too big for Smash, and that was one of the first characters announced as a new fighter in the game back in 2018. And there's been so many characters people have said impossible, and pretty much all of them have come to the game now.
Isn't Minecraft Steve in there?
Yes, Minecraft, exactly. Yeah. What? Exactly. So
they announced all those amiibo as well.
They did announce a bunch of amiibo. I really want the Min Min amiibo. It looks so nice. I was surprised that Pyra and 𝗵𝗃 are going to be separate amiibos, which is interesting, because they're kind of like a tandem fighter rather than two separate slots. You know what I mean? But
if they did like a Banjo amiibo and then a Kazooie amiibo,
oh, that would be weird.
Well, Banjo and Kazooie they're more integrated, right? Like, they're both on screen at once.
She's in his backpack.
Yeah, exactly. And like, Banjo's moves revolve around basically using Kazooie to like slap people around and stuff, and you know, they're very integrated, like the Ice Climbers, who also share an amiibo. But Pyra and 𝗵𝗃 are more like, actually, you know, I shouldn't be surprised, because Pokemon trainers are, the Pokemon trainer trio of characters is Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard, and I have them, in fact, they're all separate amiibos as well. So I guess I actually should not be surprised that Pyra and 𝗵𝗃 are also separated. So scratch that, never mind. I just didn't think about it enough.
I was also going to say that of like all of these characters we got, there's like a good mix of, ooh, this will be nice advertisement for people or for those other games, because I think Smash has been a good source of, I don't know what this character is. Like, the only reason I know who Samus is, called her Metroid forever, but anyway, was because my brother would point her out and be like, this is a female character, you know, and I'd be like, oh, I didn't know there were like girl heroes or whatever, and he explained who she was. Apparently I didn't pay attention well enough. And so that's how I learned about what that franchise was, even if I never got into it. But it helped people to get into a lot of them. But at the same time, there are plenty of characters that just made us happy. There is no Banjo-Kazooie game. There's no new Banjo-Kazooie game. But we're so stinking excited to have him. So I thought it was like a cool mix of like, every now and again there was just those, look, you get King K. Rool. There's no new game with him, but here's King K. Rool. So
there should be, but there isn't. But
I am offended there's no new Banjo-Kazooie game.
I will say though,
well, I mean, now it's coming to the Switch, so
that's true. The first game is going to be on Switch. Banjo-Kazooie, or Banjo and Kazooie, are translated into Smash so perfectly, though. Like, some characters, it's a little rough. Like Mario's moves. Half of Mario's moves are not things Mario does in the game.
Right.
The way Mario uses the cape in Smash is not the way Mario uses the cape in Mario games. he doesn't use it to fly in Smash. But Banjo and Kazooie are actually the perfect translation of a character from their game in Smash. Like their entire moveset is like ripped 1-to-1 from their game. So
I recognized so many of the moves. I was like, oh, I know what that is.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like you could point out any of Banjo and Kazooie's moves, and it's like, okay, well that is that move from their game, you know. So that's, I don't know. I just thought it was so well done, but we're getting a little off topic.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, we're good. We're good.
It's what we do.
Just love these games too much. So
I don't even play these games.
With Kingdom Hearts, not necessarily Kingdom Hearts, but the way that it is coming to Switch, have we seen another game being announced for Cloud on the last Direct? But I think, what was it? We had a podcast, and I mentioned how with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X third parties, like it's going to be even harder for them to start optimizing their games for Switch, because now it's not just for a console that's somewhat more powerful than the Switch. Now it's consoles that are a next generation above a console that's already more powerful for the Switch, and then bringing them down. Like they barely got Witcher or Doom running on Switch. The resolution drops to like almost standard definition, to like 480p instead of the 720 or 1080, which isn't that bad. Like Breath of the Wild drops down to like 5 something when you're playing it in handheld. So it makes sense that a game that an even more powerful console would play is lowered even more. But in that same aspect, now the consoles are even like one generation above that. So instead of taking the time to port all these games, which they don't know would even work on the console or sell well, like Unreal Engine 4 is what they used for Link's Awakening, and it even had its problems for it, so much that 𝗏𝗏𝗄, who made the game and used the engine, aren't reusing the same engine for their next game, which a lot of people thought would be the perfect solution for the Oracle games. Or even everyone asking for Ocarina of Time being remade for Unreal Engine 4 for the Switch. Kingdom Hearts 3 runs in Unreal Engine 4. And that game would be almost impossible unless they just worked on it with a really experienced team for years and years to bring to the Switch. Because, again, if Link's Awakening had issues, and it wasn't running at full resolution at like 1080p or 60 frames. Like it had frame drops, and it was in 900p, the same as Breath of the Wild. So, like it kind of makes sense that they would go to the cloud streaming for that game instead of trying to optimize it. And, but with all of the consoles like that, and especially now with the Switch OLED coming with the Ethernet cable as part of it, I think we're going to start seeing more and more third parties, to where essentially, maybe like by the end of next year or something, almost every third party game, unless it's one that they know is really popular and going to sell well, is just going to be released via cloud.
The problem with the cloud versions of games on Switch is you're tied to playing it at home then. Like you can't take it on the go because you lose your internet connection unless you're going to hotspot your phone, in which case you're going to use a lot of data. So there is that downside to it, and there's also the sort of ownership in a sense of the game. Like this is another reason I prefer to buy physical copies of games instead of digital, is if I buy a physical cart of a game, I've got the game forever.
Yeah.
I can play the game. When the Switch services die out or get discontinued, I don't have to worry about if I backed it up or have it saved somewhere or anything like that. I still have the game. And with a digital purchase, there's a chance that if I didn't have it downloaded, I might lose it forever. And with a cloud-based game like that, again, like if Nintendo could pull the plug years down the road on streaming it or whatever other company, and then it's gone. It's gone forever. And especially if you paid full price for the game or something, then you've lost out, right? So it's, I don't know. I'm just not really in favor of cloud-based gaming for Switch. Something like Stadia, where like that's the whole concept of it, sure, I guess. Although even Stadia, I'm like really about like very. So I don't know. Like I can see from the developer standpoint why it would just be easier to make it that way, but yeah, like for a console, even a console like that's just like a home console. But the Switch, half the appeal of it is its portability. Mm-hmm. So like actually what Matt's saying in the chat, cloud gaming is good for console like Xbox, PlayStation. Yeah, I agree, because then there's still the ownership part of it, but at least you don't have to worry about like if your internet connection goes out or whatever, you know. But I already don't really like having to be tied to a connection for games, because like, yeah, say my internet goes out and I want to do something to entertain myself, you know, now I can't play my game, you know, like that. Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry, I've ranted, but I'm just definitely a sort of hoarder when it comes to my games and stuff, and I definitely support buying physical if possible. So, not that I haven't ever bought digital. I do have some games digital, but usually the choice to buy digital stuff comes down to wanting to use it, because I have more on Switch in the house. So, for example, I bought Minecraft digitally on Switch because I have my son and I can both play on Switch at the same time, multiplayer together, but I only had to buy one copy of the game. So there you go. Hi, Jesse. Sorry.
No, I had an odd message that someone sent me, and I didn't know if it was one of you guys, so I picked up my phone to check it, and then I just got confused. So I was like, hi.
Oh no. Sorry to confuse.
No, it wasn't you. Yeah, cloud gaming. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Are you guys ready? Do you want to do the Kahoot thing?
Sure. So I was about to type in that I was going to need to leave soon.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Do you have time for that?
I have had a long work day. Also, lots of dental work. Yay.
No fun.
What am I looking at? There we go. Okay.
All right, let's hope Jesse remembers the password.
I hope you do too. Let's see if I do as badly in this one as I did the last one.
Oh.
When I was just watching. There were a couple of them that I was so impressed. I got up to like number 3 or something. And I was like, yeah! And then I immediately dropped down to 10th.
Oop. That's okay.
I think both Kayla and I were like, we're fake fans.
You're not a real fan unless you know every if you have every name memorized and credits of the game.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
like the boys in middle school at my church's youth group that were like, you actually play Zelda? And they're like, in a playful way, not in a mean way, were like challenging me, like playing music and being like, well, what dungeon is this? I'm like, Forest Temple, Ocarina of Time, you know. And they're like, oh my gosh, she does know. Whereas now as an adult, I'd be like, yes, I play, just believe me.
yeah.
But at the time, it impressed the guy I had a crush on way back when.
Oh,
he's like, you actually play games? And I was like, I have found an inn. And then he decided to become a priest, and I was like, never mind.
Oh. Well, that would put a damper on things.
It's like, oh, you're going to be single forever. Just kidding.
Okay, I think I found it.
All right.
Does it have 10 questions? Yeah, okay.
Does it?
Do you want to explain the rules to everyone while I send this out?
Sure. Well, the
everyone
rules
watching
are
can play
simple. We're playing trivia. So go to kahoot.it if you want to play along, everybody. It'll ask you for a game pin, which Jesse will share in a moment. And then you can put that in and put in your name. And there'll be some Zelda trivia questions submitted by various fans and other creators alike. And do your best. Them's the rules. It's pretty easy to follow.
Yep.
It's very easy. It's easier to play it than it is to explain it, really.
Yeah. Where are you putting the pin? In chat or in the document?
I'm giving it to you guys
like Zelda?
first.
Sure.
Okay.
This is what Jorge's saying in the chat. You like Zelda? Name every NPC in Breath.
Right?
Oh no! The thing is, you don't have to. Like, it's ironic because we're about to play trivia, but you don't have to have every piece of trivia memorized to be a fan of something. You know, like.
Oh yeah.
That's just.
You can be a good
often
guesser.
fans do. You can't. You could be.
That too.
Okay, so
You could be.
everyone go to Kahoot, KAHOOT.IT, and I will give you a code to type in. It's 4 digits. And everyone...
Did you already post it somewhere?
Just now.
Oh.
Ah.
And everyone
I
watching,
see.
you can play along as well. So, I'm posting in the live chat right now, Kahoot.it, and this is the code to get in, 9980.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I'm here. Sorry.
While we're waiting for the game to start, Trillcast in the chat here asked, "Do y'all think Switch Pro is still coming or no?" At this point, I like it's every day my opinion about it changes, honestly. But
Yeah.
I would rather at this point that we just because we're already almost 5 years into Switch. I would prefer to just move on to whatever the next console generation is, rather than trying to have like a midpoint or mid step.
It's hard
Even
to
if that's-
imagine the next console at this point. I don't know why. There's just part of me that's like, but the Switch is so perfect.
I agree. My ideal successor would be like a Switch 2. And that it carry on the sort of handheld, optional handheld hybrid sort of thing. Because I really think Switch is great. I absolutely adore the console, so yeah. That's the ideal best case scenario.
It's like I keep thinking, you've hit your peak. You just need to update, I guess, resolution or whatever as we go on. But I'm like, because I never followed the console stuff much growing up. It was just whatever my brothers wanted. That's what they would get for Christmas, I guess, when we could afford it. And I just played whatever was there. Until the Wii. Before that, because I think after the GameCube, my brothers were like, Nintendo's for babies. So they started doing other stuff like PlayStation, mostly Xbox. But then I saw stuff about the Wii, and my friends had it, and so I got involved and had some handheld things like the DS because I wanted Nintendogs and Animal Crossing. Priorities. That was what I was into. And so I kept up with it for that reason. But after the Wii, I just stopped. But the Switch was like the first time that I remember starting to follow what was happening. Back when it was even not called the Switch, the NX or whatever. And now that I have it, I'm like, you can't do better than this.
Yeah. The Wii U, I think it was a learning experience for Nintendo.
Easily.
and the Switch is like what that should have been, in a sense.
Yeah. And it kind of makes me appreciate the Wii U more when I look at the Switch and understand that comparison of like, I see what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah. But like you said, at this point, they just need to basically upgrade the hardware, but stay true to the concept. And of course, do what they didn't do with the Wii U, which is market it properly, which I think Nintendo has been doing way better this generation. They've really understood marketing the Switch. Yeah. And everything's selling super well on Switch. So put any game on Switch and it sells better. That seems to be the rule.
Another update they need to do is background themes. My 3DS,
yes.
I have it set. I have like 7 different themes, and every time I open it, it changes it. I mean, I also haven't opened it in like a year and a half, but still.
Right.
It would go back and forth between Breath of the Wild and then Twilight Princess and then other things, and I was like, yeah, I love them.
We are ready to start. We have over 10 people, which makes it interesting. Again, anyone can join. You just have to type in 9980 at kahoot.it. There are 10 questions. Each question lasts about 30 seconds unless everyone answers the question, and then we move on. The faster you answer the correct question, the more points you gain. So far, Daniel is undefeated. He cheats.
Yep.
I don't know how he does it, but he breaks into the basement. He has me locked in and steals my laptop and makes a cheat sheet with all the questions that I take in. Or maybe he doesn't even break into the basement. Maybe he just has the password to my Twitter and then goes through all the messages from
Don't
everyone.
need to break into the basement. I can just walk in. It's my basement.
Sadly, I don't think I put the... I think I have the names of everyone from Patreon that submitted a question, but not all the other people. Because I was trying to update it since we didn't do it last week, but then I didn't go back through and put the stuff in. But there are some from people at Nintendo Everything, IGN, Game Explain. I think that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're a fan of those websites, you can look forward to that. And of course, there's also Patreon supporters and then just random friends of the channel that have their own YouTube. I don't think he has one in this, but I think the last video we had a question from HMK, and since we were mentioning him earlier with that, it was odd the day before someone he tagged me in a tweet saying something. It was like a picture of a comment someone had left on one of his videos saying something about me and him having beef or something. Yeah. And he tweeted it and was like, people come up with the craziest stuff and blah blah blah. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, this like why we've had you on the channel like yeah, like we've had him on the channel several times. Why would any of us have a problem with him?
Yeah. Super weird.
And like 99% of all the gamers on the internet, as soon as Kingdom Hearts was announced or Sora was announced for Smash.
Oh my gosh, HMK.
We're all just like, oh, we're so happy for HMK.
Yeah.
even Sakurai, whenever he got the confirmation, he's like, oh, HMK is gonna be so excited for this.
I'm sure.
And then like right beside the Smash posters that he's putting up on his wall, he has a big poster of HMK.
I would love to see that.
All right,
that would be great.
We have 12 people. Let's start.
All right. Let's
Remember,
go.
You don't have to win, you just have to beat Daniel.
So you have to win.
Appreciate.
All right, question 1. By the end of Majora's Mask, how many members of the Bomber's Secret Society of Justice are there? 4, 5, 6, or 7?
I think I did this right. Unless
I got this wrong, I just realized.
By the end of Majora's Mask.
I clicked the wrong.
Oh, I thought I was right.
I forgot one.
Because there's the ones you have to find. There's the one...
the gatekeeper guy.
The gatekeeper, and then Link.
Yeah.
Right, and I thought I was accounting for Link, but I
forgot about that.
And
I forgot about the passport guy.
They made Cafe one.
No.
No, he's not one.
Was he not?
Yeah, I did the same thing as you, Daniel. I counted Link, but not that other kid.
I don't believe you, Daniel.
But even still, 7's the right answer. That's the 5 you need to find, plus Link, plus the gatekeeper guy.
Yeah.
Not cafe. So 7, not 8.
Yeah. I put 6.
I also hit 6 because I am a dummy. My bad. My bad.
And I felt so confident. Like the moment I read the question, I was like, oh, I knew what it is.
Same.
No.
I feel like I read something when I was looking for the correct answer that mentioned he either was one or cafe used to be one.
Well, if he used to be one, he wouldn't be one by the end of it.
All right.
Do you count the telescope guy in the...
No. No.
No.
Either way, 7's the highest answer, so that would have been it. Anyways, yeah, so 3 got it right, 7 got it wrong. Kept Bergerson in the lead with 0 points.
That's the lead. Leading with 0. Face first, eyes closed, can't lose.
Which Zelda game is the only one to not feature Octorocks? Twilight Princess, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Skyward Sword.
That took me way longer than it should have.
I know this one. I know this
I
one.
didn't really think. Yes.
Twilight Princess.
Yes. It's funny because
And I knew that too, but I need to check.
In the Wind Waker's gallery, like the figurine gallery, it mentions that the Octorocks have the Perfect Attendance Award, which is a reference to them having been in every Zelda game up until that point. And then they weren't in the next game, Twilight Princess.
I love that.
So it's a funny detail.
I could have gotten so many more points. I
know what I
knew
just
which
thought
one
about?
it was, but I hesitated.
Daniel is technically... So everyone else has to wait for me to give the answers. Like there's that 1 second delay or 2 seconds.
Yeah.
They should. What do you mean?
No, never mind. Okay, so
I see it the same because it comes up for everyone.
If you're playing on your phone, do not wait for me to read out the answers because you'll hear it like a second after whoever's on the Discord, the live chat with me will be able to hear me first. But if you have it on your phone, go ahead and answer it on your phone if you can, or your laptop or whatever you're using, tablet, doesn't matter. Don't wait for me to read out the answer because if you do that, then you're not gonna
get more points.
Yeah.
The faster you answer. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Next. Yeah, Kept Bergerson in first. You can see on screen who is in the top 5. So 3. Which is the only Zelda game to be officially released on a non-Nintendo console? Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess. So this is a Zelda game that was officially released, worked on, officially approved by Nintendo, but did not released on a console that was not a Nintendo console.
I don't think I understood the question.
Princess.
It was released on the NVIDIA Shield in China, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's no way I would have gotten that.
But I think... Oh, no, that doesn't... The IQ was a Nintendo console, technically,
Nintendo
right?
made IQ.
So NVIDIA Shield is the one. So it's Twilight Princess. Technically, a Twilight Princess HD, but not Twilight Princess HD, if that makes sense. But it is Twilight Princess in HD.
It even ran at a higher resolution than Twilight Princess HD. Which Zelda game has the most pieces of hearts? A Link Between Worlds, Twilight Princess, Majora's Mask, Adventure of Link. The most pieces of hearts. Not complete hearts, pieces of hearts.
I was torn between 2, and I got it wrong.
I got this one wrong. I thought it was Twilight Princess because
that's what I put.
Because it has 5. Yep.
But is it Majora's Mask then?
Because there's less dungeons that give you complete hearts.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. There's 52 in Majora's Mask and 45 in Twilight Princess. Dang it. Okay. That's what happens because so many dungeons to give you heart container.
I didn't consider that. I was like, oh, of course it's Twilight Princess because of how many it takes.
As of 2021, how many Zelda games does Beetle, aka Daniel, appear in? 4, 5, 6, 7.
Like that, I feel like I missed one.
I'm worried I might have. I tried to like count in my head really fast, but
Me too.
I'm hoping I didn't forget any.
No!
I got it wrong again. Oh, I'm not on a hot streak today. What was it? Minish Cap, Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, Breath of the Wild. And Skyward Sword. Frick! Okay.
See, my next guess was 5, so I definitely had it wrong. Sword. I didn't know there were. I only thought it was one handheld game.
No,
my bad.
Right. As of 2021, how many Zelda games does the character named Tingle appear in? Zelda games.
I just guessed. I wasn't even trying.
4, 5, 6, or 7.
I knew I was wrong.
Wait. I apparently got this wrong as well. I am on a cold streak today. Which games is it, Jesse?
I would have to go to Zelda Wiki to
Minish
look at
Cap,
it.
Wind Waker,
Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask. What other Zelda games is still in?
I was counting all those weird spin-offs, so I just picked the highest one.
So I picked like the lowest one because I was like, Tingle's not actually in that. Unless you're counting Hyrule Warriors, but
I wasn't counting that, and I wouldn't count Twilight Princess.
Yeah, because Perlo's.
It's a reference, but it's not
Tingle.
him.
Yeah, and it says named Tingle.
So
Right.
Majora's Mask, Oracle of Ages.
Damn, Oracle games.
Four Swords Adventures.
Right. I remember Four Swords Adventures, but I haven't played the That's my weakness.
Minish Cap.
I don't think Tingle's in the DS game, though.
I dropped a place.
I'm
That's
aching
weird.
now.
If you count all the games he's been in, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 others.
Okay, but how many of the Zelda games?
5.
Okay, so it was 5. Okay.
It says Majora's Mask, Oracle of Ages, Wind Waker, Four Swords Adventures, and the Minish Cap.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. All right.
Wow.
7. Which test/demo area was not originally meant to be in Twilight Princess? Snow Peak, Zora's Domain, Ordon Village, Kakariko Village. There's a test area shown off at an E3 that was only made for E3.
Totally guessed.
Was not in the game, only made for E3.
I knew I was
Ordon
wrong.
Village.
That was my second
For
guess.
the fishing.
All of the Ordon area, the goat wrangling, the fishing, the town itself, was not meant to be in the game, but the fans liked it so much, they forced it into the game, which is probably how we ended up with Wardona as a spirit instead of just 3 spirits.
I don't think I've gotten
This is
right.
this trivia game is a lot harder than the previous one. This is brutal. This is brutal.
8. In Breath of the Wild, what was the original purpose of the Forgotten Temple?
In canon,
A place of worship, to hold the Triforce, contained a library, to train Sheikah.
I was torn between 2 again. No!
To contain a library.
it was to keep record of the heroes of the past.
Yeah, that wasn't even my
Everyone
second
says it's a place of worship because it has the big statue, but I guess that would have been like a secondary function.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps. Weird.
Because the spirit temples where they technically worshipped Hylia. Because it was the temple of Hylia in Skyward Sword.
Oh, you said Spirit Temple. You mean Temple of Time?
Temple of Time,
right?
yeah, appears in how many Zelda games? 4, 5, 6, 7.
I hope I got it right. I hope. Yes.
Oh, I actually got it right.
View, Skyward Sword,
All right.
Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Breath of the Wild.
I think this is the last question.
Yeah.
Daniel's still in first. Come on, Sergeant. Yeah.
That's surprising.
Geek Apprentice. Geek Apprentice, you're ranked. How many Zelda games does Link appear shirtless? 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think I got this right.
Did I mess this up? I hope I didn't.
I hope not.
I hope not either.
Two.
Yes!
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, wait. So what was the right answer for this one?
Twilight Princess, Breath of the Wild?
What about Majora's Mask? You have shirtless Zora and Goron Link.
But that's not Link.
But
it is Link in
form.
different forms. That's why I picked 3, because I thought Jessie was going to pull fast one.
No.
Count that.
But I was so close to the top 3 podium, but I got to 4th place for only getting 3 questions right.
I
First trivia.
am been dethroned.
Mage! Oh my god!
I have been dethroned.
Captain Bergerson in second.
And all because I doubted the
And
authenticity
Sergeant.
of shirtless Link and Majora's Mask.
So if you have fourth Geek and then 5th Batsy. So if you have a question that you would like us to put in Triforce Trivia, you can rescue me from Daniel's basement. Or join our Discord and just send one. Either works. But it would be really appreciative if you helped me get away from Daniel's basement. So
I don't know what to say. I feel like I'm questioning that last one though. Still.
Okay, how about this? If you are in the chat, type in a 0 if you think Daniel was cheated out and Zora and Goron Link should have been included, or if you think
it's debatable,
or a 1 if you think Daniel lost.
I guess I don't consider them shirtless because they don't wear clothes in the first place.
Well, they have like the kilt sort of like part of the outfit.
Sometimes.
Deku Link has the hat and like the kilt part, and Goron Link has like the loincloth thing going on and the hat. They all wear the hat. Well, no, Zora Link doesn't wear the hat, but he has like the kilt sort of thing going on with it, and the belt and boots. So
we will be doing another Triforce Trivia next week. If you have questions and you're a Patreon supporter, they'll automatically be included. But if you want to just submit a question or a question for us to answer on our Zelda mailbag, then you can put them on Discord or send to me on Twitter. It's important you don't message them to Daniel, or he will continue to cheat. Geek is trustworthy enough to just not cheat.
I see how it is.
But very important that you do not give the questions to Daniel.
Anyways, I concede. Don't worry, I'm not going to be a sore loser. So congrats to, it was SGT.BJ that won. So congratulations.
Daniel is the guy that makes the test seem wrong and actually causes an edit on the questions.
I mean, it's a technicality, right?
All right, so
I'm not going to be sore loser. GG's.
How many questions did you get wrong?
7.
You got 7 wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? Is there a specific game from the Zelda series everyone would like us to have the next trivia based after? Like we can continue doing the whole series, or just have one on Majora's Mask, Breath of the Wild, or whatever. If you have a favorite game that you would like us to focus on, just put it in the chat. And Geek, do you have to go?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Daniel, after she leaves, would you want to stay and do 2 quick questions?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll do 2 questions, everyone, after Geek leaves. Geek, before you go, where can people find you?
You can find me here on YouTube. I am the Geek Apprentice. I make videos and sometimes stream, but I have not recently. I have made videos recently. I should be streaming this Sunday. I'll finally do my second round with 𝗬𝗄𝗃, which would be great. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's fine. I also realized I haven't defeated the second phase of the imprisoned yet. I don't know when that's supposed to be. Anyway, and hopefully making more videos soon. You can also find me on Instagram at The Geek Apprentice. Usually just promotional purposes, though. So, yeah, that's what I do. Just YouTube.
It looks like the next podcast will be on the 14th, but on the 15th, you will be streaming the Animal Crossing?
Yes.
And everyone
yes, I will be streaming
that.
The Animal Crossing Direct next Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I actually can. For once. It's nice.
All right, well, thank you for joining. Have a great night.
Yes,
everyone say
goodbye,
bye to Geek.
y'all. Good night.
Good night.
All right, and now we're just left with Mr. Loser. So if you,
that's me.
That's
me.
If you
said
like
my name.
Do you want to pick out a question? If anyone in the live chat has a question, or let me check the mailbag.
Well, let's take a look at the mailbag here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is this even updated?
Yeah, I have a question for you in there.
Why Daniel bananas? I do like the banana, though. That's the truth of it. Let me just pull from. I'm gonna pull up.
You can also join our Discord. There's a link in the description. You can join our Discord and leave a chat or leave a question in our Zelda mailbag. Don't leave chats in the Zelda mailbag. No one will.
No one will chat them. We'll just answer the questions though. Actually, Mystery Light in the Discord today at 4:58 p.m. What do you think, or sorry, who do you think the new Age of Calamity playable character might be? Now, what they're referring to is they announced 𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏 as a playable character, but there's still one mystery character they haven't revealed yet. I think it might be 𝗬𝗏.
Tingle? What? You think it's going to be Tingle? He's not even in Breath of the Wild, Daniel.
It could be Tingle. No, I think I think 𝗬𝗏. But I could see there's some other character that I could see, like Kilton even, or Astor.
Oh,
I really want to see 𝗬𝗏.
If Tingle had like transformation masks. I said Tingle.
That would be. You said Tingle.
Yeah, well, I'm sticking to it. Would be awesome if Tingle had transformation.
It would be.
Well, his version of Daruni.
No,
not Daruni.
What does he need?
Darmani.
What does he need transformation masks for when he's already so perfect?
This is true. Also, I found out in interviews they did not come up with Tingle's design and then like build his map drawer persona, like his attitude after him. They already had his personality in mind, and they knew that they wanted a character on a map. And they're like, okay, well, back then they didn't have satellites and stuff, so how would they have made maps? And then it's like, well, he would draw them himself. And they're like, but how would he see them? Some of the areas don't have mountains that you can look up and stand on to see the geography of everything. So then they're like, maybe he rides on big balloons. And then they're like,
makes sense.
But what kind of guy would spend his time drawing maps for fun and floating on giant balloons? And then they just created this persona of Tingle, and then they're like, what kind of character would have this persona? And then they decided, because he's one of the only other characters that ventures out into the world to get the geography of everything, then maybe he would also look up to Link, who himself goes out to do all this stuff. So then they made him dress like Link. And then they're just like, reverse engineered this whole personality and his look, and for some reason decided it was going to be a 40-year-old clown man.
35.
35, I'm sorry.
35.
Which
he
makes
35.
his father at least like 55-ish, 60. But he's the one who looks
good for his
40.
age, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He looks like he's the one that's 40. Did he draw maps before he owned his mini games shop?
Maybe. I mean, he's like the tourist center guy, so maybe he did that first to get sort of the lay of the land before setting up the swamp cruise.
So do you have a question?
That was one, but
what was it?
the who
would
be
Tingle,
the next
I forgot.
character?
Yeah, of course.
He's the Tingle.
Yeah.
So but I really want 𝗬𝗂. Give me 𝗬𝗂 in his deep voice. He's like, I'm the one kicking butt around here. that's how he sounds.
I think it's kind of obvious. Every character who has voice acting will likely also be a playable character. And I do think after this DLC pack comes out, Age of Calamity will get even more DLC. Like they'll announce another DLC pack. Maybe that'll be the announcement at the Game Awards. Like, hey, this game did so well, here's even more, because the last game did crappy and we released it 2 more times and gave it 50 more sets of DLC. So this one's actually successful, so we're gonna do the same thing because we like money.
They do like money.
Yeah, because it sells better than their actual Dynasty Warriors series, which has got to be, I don't know if that's sad for them or if they take pride in it because their game did so well, or are they sad because they're like, why can't our games sell this well?
Oh,
because they released their games on all the consoles, but then Age of Calamity released on one console does even. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Rip.
My question that I picked out. I guess I'll pick from the Discord. We don't have any Patreon questions.
That's surprising.
Or no, put the questions in the Discord for next week. I'm going to do one from the live chat.
All right.
And the first one I see is from Ray. Was Darth Vader capped? What?
Also, I was just looking at the stream here, and the handles are like, because the screen like changed position when Geek left. The Darth Vader handles are in weird spots. I'm now both Top Banana and the Geek Apprentice. Top Banana is not my Twitter handle, by the way, guys.
It could.
And I'm not Top Banana anymore. I've been.
That is true.
Yeah. So I'm Diddy now. I'm second Banana.
So he wants to know, did you have a Darth Vader reference or something? That's not his question.
No, that was just me doing 𝗬𝗂's voice.
Okay. He says, who would you pick to voice act Link if they went with the Mario Chris Pratt route for a Hollywood-produced Zelda movie? At this moment, they won't be able to do it after like 2 or 3 more years, but I think like if we're casting for a movie coming out sometime this year or next year, for live action it would be Timothée Chalamet, because I thought he was really good in the movie King. But for voice acting, I don't know who that is. He's the guy in the new Dune thing that they're making.
Okay. I think I'm going to assume that because the Mario movie was animated, that they would probably do an animated one as well for this.
Yeah. I was just saying him for live action. But he's also the one who, a comedian that we both love, is always making fun of. Because like he'll have the joke where he'll be watching a movie or something, or a trailer will come on, and it'll have Timothée Chalamet in it, and he always jokes because his wife's like, oh, I always love him. He's so cute. And he's like, we hang out with him. I'm getting kind of tired of you always saying Timothée Chalamet. He always says Timothy effing Chalamet. He had a joke at the independent film awards or whatever. And he had the same joke where he was, because like he was sitting in an audience and he's like, yeah, my wife, this effing 𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗄𝗃 𝗂𝗵𝗲𝗄.
Yikes.
But it is
Yikes.
a joke though.
Wait, which comedian is this? Kevin Smith or
No.
Or who?
Well, you see,
Who?
Daniel, the reason I didn't say his name is because I kind of blanked on his name.
Oh, I see.
I'm
You forgot.
So who did you say for animated?
Oh, I didn't, but but if they absolutely had to, first of all, don't adapt a game. Just make a new story. I really think that it would be in their. I would love to see a note.
John Mulaney.
Oh, John Mulaney. I love John Mulaney. I didn't know that he's made that joke, so I have to look that up.
Yeah,
I do love John Mulaney.
He used to do it in a stand-up, and then he was hosting the Independent Spirit Awards, the film thing. And
I see.
𝗵𝗃𝗄𝗃 𝗂𝗵𝗲 was sitting like next to front row, so he just did the joke and like stared at 𝗵𝗃𝗄𝗃.
Oof.
Maybe there is some truth to it, because apparently he's gotten divorced and married to someone else now. So, who knows?
Oh.
I always assumed it was a joke, like most people, but who knows? Daniel.
Oh. Yes. Bring a no-name actor in to play Link if we have to do it. I don't want them to just do a cast grab name. No, I just mean okay. Like I would rather them have an obscure actor. You know what I mean? And give someone their big break in the role. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think they should go if they're making a movie.
Should it be Seth Rogen or Jack Black?
It should definitely
just reuse
not
the
be.
cast from
No, no, no. I don't know. I wouldn't have chosen Chris Pratt, so I don't know. I would choose for them to not make this Zelda movie. That's my choice.
I'm trying to look for this joke. I want you to hear it. It's hilarious.
Oh no. You're gonna get a copyright strike, Jesse. Just send me the link. I'll watch it later. But okay, so who would you choose if voice actor wise?
Alright. I would say that first everyone needs to look up John Mulaney and listen to his stand-up. He's got some cool stuff on Netflix. And also, I don't like if Nintendo did it. I don't think they would go with anyone would ever imagine would go for a voice acting Link, because I don't think anyone would have picked out any of the people in the Mario animated stuff. But I guess like I'm gonna say Benedict Cumberbatch.
No, for Link.
Yeah,
I feel like you need someone that's a little more got a softer voice. You know,
I don't think they would be saying anything though.
If they're gonna make a movie, they need to not go the silent protagonist
it would be
route.
like he did The Grinch, which was like the last movie by Illumination.
Yeah, didn't care for
but I guess
that.
he matches.
I mean, okay, he has range, so like he could work with it, and make it.
Because I'm trying to think of like a famous actor who could also do voices.
But Benedict has a very. They don't have to be someone who's worked with Illumination though, but Cumberbatch has like a very. He's got a very deep rooted sort of voice, and it's a very mature voice. Tom Holland, really? Oh my. Tom Holland has the youthfulness that I had in mind. But do you want British Tom Holland or Tom Holland putting on an American accent like he does for Spider-Man?
Judging by the way Nintendo went with Breath of the Wild, I would say British.
British Tom Holland? Okay. Okay. Interesting choice.
Because they picked some American voice actors, or Canadian, I guess, and they went with British.
It's funny, it depends on which character, right? Rome's not really British, but Zelda is.
Well, I mean, he was the one with the accent. He died. So then
oh no.
She just, over the years.
Oh
no.
So
maybe her mom was the one with the accent.
Must have been. Her mom was the one with the royal blood, though. King Rome's not king by birthright, technically.
He just got lucky.
Because, like, if you think about it, now. Zelda's mom had the sealing power, which means that she's of the royal bloodline.
Yeah.
Which means, I hope, dear God, I hope that King Rome is not of the then.
Basement
so
Sand
that would mean
Basement Band says Joel from The Last of Us. Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh no. What they need is Gilbert Gottfried to do the voice of Ganondorf.
I think we have a couple of episodes of the podcast in the past that if you want to hear us talk about this even more, and you want the Geek Apprentice and 𝗵𝗵𝗃 and some other people we probably had on as guests who've answered the question, because it's a question that comes up fairly rarely. You can go there if you want to check it out. Troy Baker. Yeah, Troy Baker's good. He's got a couple of songs as well. He does the voice for Joel. He also does the voice for the Nathan Drake and Uncharted's brother, I think.
Okay.
They're made by the same company.
Yeah, I think it's like for Link is like you want a youth sort of feel. Like the oldest version of Link in any of like 17 or 117 if you were going the Breath of the Wild route. But that 100 years doesn't count because he was sort of in stasis.
Old man Link from
okay, but I mean like playable Link, you know what I mean?
But I
like
don't even think he was as old as Breath of the Wild Link.
Well, maybe. Depends, like, what's the gap between Link Between Worlds and Past?
I want to say 100 years.
So then he would be about that age then. Ish. Or around that. So, I don't know. But yeah, you don't want anything too mature.
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. Well, I wouldn't say Jimmy Fallon's mature, but I kind of love Jimmy Fallon. But I have a very love-hate with Jimmy Fallon. Not that he has any idea about it.
He is a famous Zelda fan, so I guess there's that.
Yes. I love his enthusiasm, but you want that sort of youthfulness for Link. So, actually, though, I've been playing this game, Jedi Fallen Order, lately.
It's a good game.
And fantastic game, really, really wonderful. But actually, the voice for Cal in that game, who you play as, I think not necessarily that actor, but that sort of characterization would work really well.
They modeled his character after the actual actor, like it looks almost identical.
Oh, I believe it. That's how a lot of studios are doing it too.
He's in one of my favorite shows, Shameless.
Oh, I see. Okay. But I think his characterization in that show is, I think something like that would be a serviceable or a satisfactory performance for Link, in my opinion.
Oh, do you remember when we were at, I was going to say E3, but it wasn't at E3. It was at the 𝗏𝗵𝗲 Cantina.
Yeah,
place. We ran into Greg, and he was there with a group of people. He was there to talk to those people, which happened to be the people who were working with EA or whatever, because he hosted because it was the next morning. He was the host for that E3 event where they announced that game.
It's a great game.
It was kind of funny because we ran into all of them at a Star Wars themed party.
Very suiting. Very suiting.
Yeah.
Good game. That game has a lot of attention to. Very clearly, the people in charge of that game were Star Wars fans.
I've only made it as far as the part where you are on the other planet and like you have to run around. There's a bunch of caves and stuff, and there's no real people there, but there's like old messages that you have to get in runes or something like that, and there's like a wild monster on the top thing before you get back to the ship that you have to avoid. It's like the second or third planet you go to, so not too far. But Daniel, we are done with the podcast, if you didn't know. You have a new... You ended your season on Skyward Sword?
For dungeon design, yes. I'm finished.
New season of Twilight Princess.
Yes. So the first installment of dungeon design for Twilight Princess premieres in 12 hours. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific. So almost exactly 12 hours from now. And I think some people may have noticed that the last couple of videos I did were kind of like filler videos, and that's the reason for that is that those were videos I could crank out a little bit more easily so that I could have more time to work on this one. So I made like all new intros.
Is it following the routine of like every video game season getting longer and longer? Oh, did we freeze?
I have noticed.
You froze for a moment.
Did I? Am I good though?
You are now, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know if necessarily. I mean, like the thing is, it depends because, like, for example, my Ocarina of Time ones, those videos were, they would float around the like between 15 to 25 minute mark, right? And my Wind Waker one's about the same. The longest Wind Waker one, 28 minutes. So, but the rest were 25, between 15 to 25. And Skyward Sword, they were a bit longer, like they were 25 to 35 minutes each. And then this one as well is again another long. It's like 35. So it's, and it's just the first dungeon of Twilight Princess. So these are definitely lengthy, but like all of the Majora's Mask ones were like half an hour each, right? So, it depends, right, on like the pacing of the game and how much I have to say, I guess. But I love Twilight Princess, great game. So
if there are details or questions or theories that come up while you're doing these walkthroughs, you usually take a couple of minutes during the video to include any theories or special details that you come up with. So is there a dungeon in particular that you are looking forward to, not just because of the dungeon, but because of an idea or theory that you have and want to include in one of the dungeons? And Joseph in the chat says he can't wait for Twilight Princess vids. This is all on his channel, 𝗵𝗃, by the way, not here at Game Over Jesse, but I will post in the community tab something for him. Daniel froze again every time I go to talk. Maybe it's a curse I have. Is he going to come back? Did we destroy him? Vin Diesel will be on it. Uncharted 4 indeed. Coming summer 2023 with Jimmy Fallon as Link. Laugh Out Loud 117. Jesse's son interviewing Daniel's son. I don't know if it's him or me. And I don't know if he's coming back. Daniel lost his powers along with the first spot on TT. It could just be Discord. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to assume it was Discord that cut out. So as you guys can see, Discord isn't working. So if Daniel comes back before we leave, then I'll let him say goodbye. But I guess I can do that. Looks like Discord isn't agreeing. It's a Canadian thing. Daniel used stasis, yeah. So sorry about that, guys. But he was going to keep saying goodbye on his channel, 𝗵𝗃 He has some really great videos you can go check out. He has his new season of his dungeon design videos where he goes through and does a walkthrough style video of each of the dungeons from every Zelda game, but he also talks about theories or ideas or connections and stuff like that, some lore stuff while he does the walkthrough. So you get a walkthrough with a theory and everything, and you can go check those out. He has a bunch of other videos, and yeah, 𝗵𝗵𝗲, who isn't here, you can go check out her YouTube channel. She just started uploading videos on her YouTube channel. Usually she does streams on Twitch, and she also voices videos here. The same with the Geek Apprentice. She has her YouTube streams, and she does a lot of videos similar to the ones that we do on here. Oh, is that Daniel? Daniel, you can come back if you want. Daniel, don't do that again or you're fired.
I was trying to call you. You know, it's weird because on my screen it looked like that you had left the call, and I was just sitting here being like, oh, okay, well, I'll just wait and he'll hop back in. And then I looked at the screen and I'm on the stream frozen in time, and so
yeah, I didn't
so then I tried
notice
to call
that
you.
First. I was like, was it me? Was it Daniel?
Oops.
And then I was like, it seems like it's just Discord.
I think it was just Discord. Then I tried to call you and you didn't answer, and
I'm sorry.
Oops. That's okay.
So, yeah,
hey, here we are now.
I mentioned 𝗵𝗵𝗲, but there's the Geek Apprentice, as I also mentioned. All of her stuff. There's a bunch of videos on her channel, similar to the videos that you can find here, similar to some of the videos on Daniel's channel. But you can also find videos on Harry Potter and How to Train Your Dragon and other stuff. The Hunger Games, which for those who don't know, is almost sort of what inspired the name of this channel, because I was trying to think of something that went along with that had games in the title. So Hunger Games was something that came up, and instead of Hunger Games, it was Hylian Games, and then video podcasts about video games are called Gamescasts, and I was trying to think of a pun or something that went with Gamescast. So games from Hunger Games, and then switched to Hylian is what I came up with. And then I hated it a week later and talked to Daniel about changing it again, but we never did. So here we are, 140 episodes later. Daniel, finish what you were saying.
140 episodes and like 4 years later.
Yeah,
it's kind of wild that we've been running the
eventually.
podcast for that long. yeah. Actually, it's kind of wild because it was like the first year of Switch that we started it. So
Squid Game was not out yet.
That's true too. Splatoon was though, and it's a Squid Game.
Yeah, if we named it after Squid Game, it would be like the Squidward Gamescast or something. Daniel, yeah,
you were asking me about theories. Probably most excited to get into like Temple of Time, and honestly, it's hard to say though because Twilight Princess has so many good dungeons. But like Temple of Time and Arbiter's Grounds.
To be fair, that's not your favorite dungeon or one of your favorite dungeons. It's just one that you have an idea about, because nobody likes the Temple of Time.
I love that dungeon. No. I think it's a really great dungeon.
It's okay, Daniel. You don't have to say that to please all the people in the chat, because there is no one in the chat nor the world who likes the Temple of Time.
I really think it's a fantastic dungeon. It's got a great structure of this sort of escort mission thing, but you can control the thing you're escorting, and it's.
I don't believe you.
But it's great. But actually, it's there's a bit of theory stuff sprinkled in to tomorrow's video when we're talking about the Forest Temple, and I put a bit of I put a lot of thought into it, because I kind of came up with a theory and then debunked my own theory in the video, and then sort of present an alternative theory. So hope that makes sense.
It does.
So that's how it goes sometimes with theories, though, is like you have an idea and then you're trying to like, you sort of like are gathering information, and then you're like, no, it actually falls apart.
I always go with the idea that if you come up with a theory and you can disprove it, then it's not a theory because it can be debunked. If you come up with a theory and you can prove it, like factually prove it, then it's not a theory.
Just fact.
Yeah, it's just a fact. Like all the people are like, I haven't the idea that Koroks are related to the Kokiri or the Zora turn into bird people, the Rito. And it's like, no, that's just something the game tells you. Like, that's not, like, you may not remember it, but it subliminally or subconsciously you read it or seen it or just paid attention, and that came up. But for other stuff, like if it's something that can't be disproven or proven, then yeah, it's a good theory. But yeah, you have one on the Forest Temple that you go back and forth on, so that'll be interesting.
It is. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, though. But I'm most excited to show some of the sort of like visual flares and stuff that I did with the video. So I made a whole new, like I did for Skyward Sword as well. I made like a whole intro for it. So I did the same thing with this. That sort of suits it more. So I think it turned out good. Also, Joseph in the chat says about the Temple of Time that people don't like it because it's linear.
Yes.
And linear is like a cursed word. But that's the thing is that...
that's not why I dislike it. I dislike it because all the turning stuff and the baby spiders, and then it leads up to something that I feel like was teased in one of the trailers where Link's fighting a spider. But then they changed it around.
I'll say the boss is a weak point for that dungeon for me. I don't like the boss fight very much. In one of the beta sort of trailers, they reused that in Spirit Tracks though. But the most, it's kind of what George is saying in the chat here, most dungeons really are linear. Dungeons often in Zelda will present you with the illusion of openness, but then there's really one true path, because it's like, oh, there's 5 doors, but 4 of them are locked. So there's one true path you have to go through. Yeah. You know,
or if it does give you something, it's like you can go this way, and then you get a map, but you really have to go this way because that only leads to a room with the map.
Yeah, and then you'll have to turn around and go back. So it's, yeah, like as far as dungeons in Zelda go, there's always a sort of chain of events.
Like a less sometimes we'll have Metroid.
Actually, yes. When bit of a shameless plug, I was recently on Game Explain's channel talking about Metroid with them. On
Never
the
heard of them. We should have them on sometime.
Anniversary. We should. And that's what I likened it to, is playing Metroid games are like playing through Zelda dungeons, except instead of lots of segmented little isolated dungeon experiences, the whole game is like one long dungeon. And instead of locked doors, or when you can come up to locked doors, but instead of needing keys, your power-ups are the keys. And Zelda is often the same way as well. Like you need items to progress, but there's also just like literally keys that you find as well. So it's in a way they're similar structurally. It's just Metroid takes it like that's the whole game, and Zelda makes them like pockets of parts of the game, if that makes sense. Well, most Zelda games do. Breath of the Wild is of course a different thing. Breath of the Wild has the truly only examples, I think, of non-linear dungeons, because Breath of the Wild gives you the dungeon, here's the whole dungeon layout, but you have to do 5 objectives and then you fight the boss. You can do those 5 objectives in whatever order, that's fine. But most other dungeons in Zelda are not like that. They have a pretty linear structure with the illusion of non-linearity. So I'd like to say I'm like an expert on the subject now, because I've been like, I think doing this series and examining these dungeons so thoroughly and in some cases scrutinizing some of them has kind of made me aware of these things in a way. Not in a bad way. Again, linearity is like, some people say that linear is like a dirty word in game design, but like it's not. It's just a path, you know. of actions you have to take, right? So like, I don't know, it's really interesting, and I admire a lot of the things that they do to, like, the way games will be designed to make you think it's not linear when it is. So it's cool. But yeah, definitely I'm looking forward to what people think, because Twilight Princess's dungeons they have been the most requested thing for me to cover since I started this series. Like, I started it with Ocarina of Time, and people are like, are you gonna do Twilight Princess? And I'm like, yeah, but I gotta do these other games first. So yeah,
Daniel,
I'm
Metroid
very
is out now.
I am the internet dungeon expert. Metroid, it's 9 p.m. my time, so I don't think
Not for you.
Not for me. But I'm not going to play it tonight because I don't have my copy yet. I'm going to get up extra early tomorrow and go to the store and pick it up. So no spoilers, everybody. But I'm very excited for Metroid. I'm going to stream it on Saturday night as well. So
some friends
there is that.
In Australia, like a few hours ago, was like, "Oh, I'm playing Metroid," and I'm like, "You live in the future."
Lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky.
So I guess that's a bit of everything. You have your Metroid streams and everything on your channel. You have your Zelda videos that you do.
Yeah.
Has there ever been an idea to do a dungeon design type video for Metroid?
I've thought about it, but it's a bit trickier because it's the whole game, right? So, like with Zelda, when I first thought about doing dungeon design, I thought about doing each game as one video, and I was like, it's too much, and I think it was better for me to do to break it up into these individual dungeons, because I can sort of examine each of them more thoroughly and more in depth, and so yeah, and also it depends which Metroid game, because most of them you could do in a linear way like that. Super Metroid's trickier because I don't know. There's also the thing with Metroid is there's a lot of interconnectivity. There's not like you do level 1 and then you do level 2. There's okay, you go get this power up and then you go into this next area and then you go into the third area, but then you backtrack to the first area and then you go into the second area and do something, and then you go to the fourth area. And they just the map, it's like, I once did a fun thing for when I was talking about the water temple, comparing the water temple and the shadow temple.
You did something fun.
It's true. Yes, one time just to try it. So I took an image of the map, like a 3D image of the maps of those two dungeons, and literally drew in red a line of how you would take your path through each dungeon, right? And in the Shadow Temple, it's almost just a straight line start to finish because the way the Shadow Temple is laid out. But the Water Temple, it's crisscrossing over each other constantly, right? It's like scribbles looking. It looked really bad and messy. That's how Metroid games are, though. It's you're constantly crisscrossing back and forth, and there's tons of tracking and stuff. So I could do it, but the thing is, I wouldn't be able to make weekly videos if I was doing Metroid. It would take me. It would take me a lot longer. Did I say Shower Temple? Seahawks?
I don't think you did.
24 ruled in the chat. I definitely meant Shadow Temple if I said Shower Temple.
Ocarina of Time.
There's no shame in showering though, I guess. So it's but yeah, anyway, so I could do it. And someone's asked me before as well if I've thought about doing Metroid games as well for dungeon design, but it would be trickier. It would be trickier to do. I might have to just split them up into parts, but thing is I don't want to do reviews in the traditional sense, because I think it's done and beaten to death. Everyone and their dog has a review channel, and
That's
I'm just
I
don't
did the 10 best and worst,
right? And well, that thing is that's a unique spin on it, right? And I like that, and but I never want to put a number on things. I never want to be 8 out of 10. Whatever, because it's so subjective, and my opinion is not going to be the same as
that's why
your
IGN
opinion.
stopped it.
Oh, really? Did they stopped numbering it?
Score, and then they went to it's just a good game, or it's a bad game, or it's a great game.
Interesting, but even those have tiers, you know. And so in my dungeon videos, for example, I talk about just how I feel when I'm playing it, what I admire about it, something what I call my gripes or my complaints, right? So but I don't want to ever put a number to these things because it's so subjective, right? My word isn't law in these videos, it's just my experience. Unless I'm talking about how to literally go from point A to point B, then those are just facts. But anyways, I probably talked too much about this.
No, you're good. It's not like we were talking about Majora's Mask.
This is that's definitely when I've talked too much about it. I'm just gonna say from now on, if that comes up,
video you recorded for the channel last week.
True. I'm pretty happy with how that video turned out, actually.
You just rated all on bananas.
I rated them on bananas. That's one way to do it, for sure.
Well, Donkey Kong like this game. Yes, 10 bananas.
I think if people question about Majora's Mask 3D's changes, I'm just going to tell them to watch my videos. I've made 2 hours of Majora's Mask content, split into several videos.
That's true.
It's like literally 2 hours.
Like these walkthroughs should be 10 minutes, but they're 30.
Well, it's not just walkthroughs though. Like you said, right? There's more to it than that. It's a review, sort of. It's a walkthrough. It's a analysis. It's a theory video. It's me admiring Koji Kondo's compositions and music. All of that stuff rolled into one video. So it's good. It's good. Yeah. So anyways, there's a lot to look forward to. This has been a very fun week. Lots of good stuff this week.
Gotta go later, everyone. Yeah, okay. Good night, Gamescast. Daniel, have a good one. Yes. Have a good night to you. A good night to Daniel. Good night to everyone else watching. Daniel Dungeon Expert, Linear Puzzles, kind of hoping. Yeah, you probably seen me on Spawn Wave a long time ago. We had him on the channel a few times. He invited... I used to kind of be regular on his podcast after... like the first beginning of, I guess. They got to a point to where there was like, it seemed like there was 10 or more people on the podcast sometimes, and like certain people would only, like they would be there for the hour or two, but they would only talk for like 2 seconds.
Oh.
So then I was like, it was really fun to be on there and talk to everyone, but yeah, I just stopped after a while, and then after a while I stopped being invited, but we're still friends. He kept coming on our podcast when we invited him, even before this podcast existed. Actually, was it
one of the first videos that I was on your channel for, because this was back when I was at Zelda Dungeon / Zelda Informer, was also with Spawn Wave.
Yeah, it was when we had the idea to do the podcast based off of the discussion videos that we were doing. But yeah, it was really cool.
Throwback.
I love seeing Miss Click on there as a regular now. All the other people that he brought on was really cool.
Yes, Miss Click's in a lot of. She's got her fingers. She's dabbling in a lot of things though too. She's on HMKs a lot too, right? And
yeah, because they're both big Zelda and Kingdom Hearts fans. I had to look at him before the name popped in my head.
Good on her. Good on her.
Yeah, this is a good show, man. Always like to watch live work. Yeah, thank you. It's also on iTunes, as the thing says up top. You can leave a review there, and we will read it off at the beginning of each episode. If you have questions, you can leave in our Discord or on the bottom of the videos, and we will try to answer them at the end of each podcast. And everything for me is at GameOverJesse. Most things, if not everything, for Daniel's at 𝗵𝗃.
I will say I'm kind of transitioning away from Twitch as well. So if you really want all the full 𝗵𝗃 experience, just head over to my YouTube channel. And I'm there.
I'll say it after. It was a Nintendo thing.
Well,
yeah. I'll have to say it after though, but it might be about Twitch. I don't know, possibly.
Okay.
The Geek Apprentice has like TGA Geekdom sometimes, or the Geek Apprentice, but you can find her by just looking up the Geek Apprentice. 𝗙𝗵𝗲 you can find by looking up 𝗙𝗵𝗲. She started doing stuff on her YouTube channel now. She was at one point just kind of doing Twitch, but there's videos coming out from her, so you can look forward to that. Thank you all for watching. Remember, leave a review at iTunes, or leave us a message or a comment for a question here on YouTube, or you can leave it in our Discord. There's links to everything in the comments below. Have a great night.
Yes. Good night, everybody. Thanks for